Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome, Arvanauts. Welcome, everybody, to a Tuesday stream. It is the final Tuesday of March. It is March 29th, 2022, about 12:50 p.m. Eastern, and it is my great pleasure to welcome you all into the stream and also welcome you, of course, one more time to Erebor Adventures, as we are into day 36 of Adventures in Middle-earth, Erebor Adventures. Today's session is called Sleeping Dragons Lie. Before we go any further, just a couple of reminders about ways to support us here in the channel. If you haven't done so already, please make sure to follow the channel. Please make sure to check out our YouTube with !ArvTube that has past broadcasts of this and many other streams, of course, on the channel. !ArvCord is the Discord channel where you can hang out with the Arvanauts in between streams. Please join us over there. I should say as well about, again, the YouTube that, again, we're up to about 818 subscribers over there. We're really trying to push people to sub over to that YouTube. Once we can get up to 1,000 subscribers, all kinds of things are going to open up both on that channel and back over here on Twitch. It's free to you to do that, but it really would help us. So if you would so kindly consider subscribing to us over on YouTube, it would be really awesome. Again, !Arvcord is a Discord channel. Please join us over there as well. Arv Tweets is my Twitter, where I will always post when I'm going live and about various things relating to my personal and professional and occasionally political stances in life. That's !Arv Tweets, and the website is arvaneleron.com. On the financial side, !Arv Shop is my merchandise area with Adventures in Middle-earth material, along with Infinity and Beyond, and soon-to-be Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks. !Arv Treon is the Patreon, which allows you to support us over at the Patreon. We're at 198.20 patrons. We've been there for a while, and we'd love to see that number go up again and to move up to 200 and beyond, because we can do various things with the channel as a whole. The higher that number goes. Plus, you can get individual stuff for yourself as well. So I hope you will consider doing that at !Arv Treon. And of course, the subscribing to the channel is always appreciated as well. You get those custom sub badges and emotes and all that kind of good stuff. That would also be lovely if people would be so kind as to support us over there, subscribing to the channel. On the publishing side, !Icarus for my Icarus graphic novel from the amazing Athos Arts. !Library for my Tales and Tomes in the Forbidden Library, my 5e adventure and sourcebook from Alligator Alley Entertainment. And of course, both Alligator Alley and Athos together will be working on my Greyshade Kickstarter, which is going to be launching in early, I guess, mid-June. Greyshade KS. Greyshade will launch May 31st. 2 weeks later is when the Kickstarter for the next two books in that series, plus the tabletop role-playing game, plus an audiobook from Trendane, is all going to be launching for that Kickstarter, which will be 2 weeks after May 31st, when Greyshade the novel is published. And speaking of Greyshade the novel, the cover reveal is going to be happening this coming month. So in April, we're going to have the cover reveal for the Greyshade cover, which is going to be great. And because I think it's an awesome cover, and I'm very excited to share it with all of you. So that's what we've got going on with that. Greyshade KS there. And lastly, as always, BLM, Black Lives Matter, very important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives. And Help Now, which is the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Very important to reach out to others when you need help and to reach out to others when they need help as well. Last, Ukraine, UKRAINE, to support the people of Ukraine who are fighting against an illegitimate imperialist war, which has killed thousands and thousands and has displaced millions. Again, this is the thing that must be stopped, and we need to help Ukraine in every way that we can. So please click on that link and head over there to see what you can do to help, because we all can make a difference. Last thing to mention is just quickly about schedule. Today we have got, again, Adventures of Middle-earth at 4:15 today over on GogCom's Twitch channel. We have got some Talisman Adventures for you, sponsored as always by Pegasus Spiele, and that's going to wrap us up for the month of March. And starting on Friday, we will open up a new month of April, which is also my 10-year anniversary month. April 12th is the official date for that. That's going to be really exciting. I am excited to talk about that. I'm also excited to talk about the new schedule, which I have not posted yet because I've been super busy, and I'm going to be trying to post a tentative schedule sometime tomorrow or the next day for April. So that's the deal with that. Lots of good stuff going on there. But right now, lots of good stuff going on with this wonderful group. So I'm going to unmute myself and apologize for interrupting them, which I'm sure I have done. And then I'm going to unmute them. And lastly, I'm going to head over to this group of people that are more than excited about dealing with a dragon today. They could not be more than happy about this question. So that's where they are. Sleeping dragons lie, or in this case, sleeping voice narrators lie is what we're talking about. It is great to see these lovely people, and I will start with the gentleman who has returned to the land of the conscious for the moment, and that is not exactly.
No.
And that's our good friend Trending Sparks. Hi, Trend. How you doing? So are you in the consciousness world? Not so much. The or as my students sometimes like to call it, the conscience world, which is an interesting double meaning that they don't intend, but I will. What do you think, Trent? How you feeling? How's life? How's the universe? Who are you playing?
You can't even tell who I am now?
I know who you are. You start with
but you
T.
just said the wrong
Start
name.
with so much alike, Trent.
Right, that's true. Yeah. That is very, I mean...
Because I saw Terry's hosting me, and I was like, oh, thank you, Ted, for Trent.
Okay. Right.
My evil plan succeeded.
Indeed.
I'm drinking this substance that is apparently called Wicked Blue Citrus.
Okay.
And it's, yeah.
Is there such a thing, a blue citrus?
You
I
know,
wonder?
speaking as a person who really likes that color in clothing and nature, like, you know, in terms of like a turquoise blue ocean and stuff, food should not be that color. I just don't
This
think
isn't
so.
food. Don't worry about it. It tastes like it's not food. It tastes like it's just a selection of chemicals that are supposed to make you think that could be citrus if I were completely flavor deaf.
No.
Yeah,
Flavor deaf. That's
sure. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I was going to say hard of tasting, but it sounds weird. Okay. Right. So I'm Trent Sparks. I apparently was a voice actor at one point, and now I just make really stupid comments on intro things.
And smack your lips as you try to figure out what a thing tastes like.
Exactly. Yeah. So, which is a sound that is awful on the microphone when you're narrating. It is just horrible. So
yeah,
it's like
smack.
And there have been a couple of, you know, like I think it was a BattleTech novel where like the guy was eating breakfast and the text specifically mentioned that he was smacking his lips while he was eating. I was like, oh God, no. And so he said he was eating toast with egg, you know, runny eggs on it. So I went to the kitchen and made some toast, and I came back and I'm like, oh God, I don't want to do this. But I'm like right in the microphone, just
I just want to avoid that sound when giving an audio performance.
You don't.
No?
Wait, when you're supposed to do it or when you're not supposed to do it?
When you're not supposed to.
Okay, that's a different question. Sorry, I was still stuck in the I've got to do this thing. You sort of have to practice moving your tongue to different parts of your mouth when you enunciate things. So like when you're talking, if you normally have a pop or a click that happens when your tongue is in its natural speaking position, if you practice saying whatever word that is with your tongue shifted slightly off to the side, you can still say the word and it still sounds right, but you don't get that click.
Just to reduce the surface contact, essentially.
Yeah. And it takes practice, but you know, you get to a point where you can do it.
See, this is more than a gaming show, Greg.
Voice actors
No, I know. This is everything. I'm fully aware. Like,
what is this show not? Is the question we should be asking.
Right.
It's not really true. This show hits all things. It's just like to define the subgenre. I'm like, I don't know Twitch, like ASMR, how to avoid ASMR, how to you know.
For a show that has two characters who are cooks in it, we don't really do a lot of cooking. So
True.
Yeah, there's that kind of thing. But yeah, I'm as I was sort of, but not quite saying before, I'm a professional voice actor and audiobook narrator, and I am playing Thane Tawnybear, the Hearthmender dwarf friend. And it took me a lot of gearing up to get ready to just say that all at one time, and I'm pretty sure I got it all in there.
You did?
But I mean, did I really? Or is there more to it now?
Ooh, a cooking live stream for ArvCon now.
No, not with me. No, not with me.
Listen, Brad's got a new kitchen, so we'll just have Brad stream it directly from the new kitchen.
I can play at the same time.
That's what I'm saying. Like I just have a whole session about cooking. As long as we set it in
a battered mug.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like a whole battered mug sub session where you're just cooking the whole thing. Like that is Woof,
It takes
you
me
know?
half an hour to make ramen. So
And we have a
yeah.
giveaway
Nice.
where the winner, you ship them a portion of the cooked food. It'll arrive a week later. And
I can make like shortbread cookies that would last, in a shipment.
listen, don't threaten me with a good time. This is good stuff. I like that. That would be pretty fun. Anyway, I will. This all of a sudden, my mind is like the possibilities. Anyway,
Yeah.
But that's giving me.
Are we going that way or are we going that way?
I guess we'll go down so as to stay with the order on the map. So that means we'll
And
go
the
to
cooks.
the aforementioned,
Cooks on
the
this side.
aforementioned Brad Bollier with new kitchen in tow, and potential new cooking live stream that I've just decided upon within the last minute. Brad, how you doing? How's life? How's the kitchen? And who are you playing today?
Good. I'm a few months late, but I just want to wish everybody a meowy Christmas.
Meowy Christmas.
Aww.
Things are good. The kitchen is settling in. It's like 95% there. Still have a backsplash to do. And writing life is good. I was talking before you hopped back on about Gen Con, which is coming up.
Yay!
No, I'm excited, but also like just any event that I would go to where there's a whole bunch of people gives me like this low key stress at this point, just because it's like it's weird and it's different and I don't know what to expect, of it and stuff. But I think things have been moving along, at least in the U.S. Regarding people's vaccinations. There's another one that's just been approved for 50 and up, which I qualify for, and at-risk people as well. What's that?
Barely 15 up. Like barely qualify for that.
Yes.
yes. Let me qualify that. So anyway, but I am looking forward to just getting back and once I get sort of beyond that stress thing, just re-experiencing Gen Con because it's my favorite convention and seeing people again, which I haven't done. And I did a number of like European events, but I haven't done a lot in the US besides Gen Con, so it's just been sort of a limit of how much I've been exposed to and people have been exposed to me in the US. So I'm just looking forward to getting back to things too, even though it will be slightly stressful and weird. So a mix of emotions there. But
And I will say, if I can just quickly, that we are aware. I'm as folks know in the channel, I'm one of the co-coordinators. I'm in the organizing committee for the symposium. So, we are aware of that that stress that to the extent we experience it ourselves too. So there's been a lot of work that's being done to try to deal with some of those issues. We actually have two accessibility coordinators, which I think I've already announced, but if I haven't, I can announce that it is Emily Bell and John Wiswell. And they are great. Like I can't say enough about that. And the accessibility coordinators are there to address accessibility needs, possible disability concerns as well, but not just that. So like the stress that you're discussing, we've been talking a lot about an actual quiet room, not just like a kind of quiet adjacent, but like literally trying to make a room where people can be separate from others and all that kind of stuff, because we're aware of that. We obviously won't be perfect, but we'll do the best we can. So anyway, I just wanted to say that gave me a chance to say, I hear you, like and you're not the only one who's felt that way, but I'm just as excited as you are about it. Cause much the same as you felt. So anyway.
Yeah, and I'll put in a quick plug too. I mentioned that Gen Con is my favorite convention, but I would just recommend it in general because it's a really, I find, well-run convention. If you're into gaming at all, it's worth going to. If you are into gaming and you're into writing, it's almost a must to go to at some point.
And if you're not, why exactly are you in the channel at the moment? Like if you're like, I hate gaming and writing, like
click.
It's just like, you're in the wrong place, my dude.
What am I doing
Fortnite
here?
is that way. Like I don't know what to tell you. Anyway.
Yeah, but it's the Writer Symposium is just a really great resource, I think, for the up and coming writer, because there's so many great panels, great workshops that you can attend, and also network. You can really come along in your craft and your circle of writerly friends, editors, agents, that sort of thing. So if you're into that, definitely check it out. Coming in August, may be of interest to you.
Totally agree. Who are you playing today, Brett?
So I'm playing Bolo Brastuk, Bolo, who is a well-seasoned, traveled hobbit at this point, who is looking forward to the meeting of dragons.
Yes.
Who may or may not be lying.
Yes, absolutely. 100%, 100% in favor of the meeting. And actually, it's true because Bolo has not ever met a dragon, including this one, whereas the rest of them have. dealt
Yeah.
with one before, but we will talk about that in just a moment. Good to have Brad with us as always. Also, good to have with us the amazing and incredibly awesome Terry Tunes, who has returned and is continuing to, like trick out the house. I assume now you've set it up so the house now has like flood mood lighting in every room, right, Terry? And like responding to your mood. Like you walk in, it's like, oh, you'd like some, right? I assume it's like that, right? That's what your crib is like now.
God,
Totally.
can you imagine that, like in the house of a bipolar person? It's just
Or a cat.
or a cat.
But I repeat,
Same
yeah.
thing.
Oh man.
No, but like I have been working on the house for a bit, mainly on the garden, so not as much as I would have loved to, but so much to do.
Yeah.
So many things to do, so little energy. But yeah. What else do I have to talk about? Not much. Except for my character, I suppose. Yeah, so I'm playing a dwarf. Her name is Thane Inge Homefinder, daughter of Ida, and she is a council member of King Dain II. And yeah, she is from the Erebor and is a wanderer and has now 2 trusty animal sidekicks.
It's true.
Yes, not just the most valuable pony, Lilleman, but now also Freki, who is a raven.
Yep.
So
And will become the most valuable raven. It's
I
true. Every
forgot
9 level,
to
you have a
draw
total of 2
character
pets.
portrait for him. That's stupid.
Yes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right. I had like completely blanked out on that.
You can, and while you're on the subject of birds, you can also do the follower. You do the follower emotes plus the raven.
Yes.
You'll have all of them together.
So yeah.
That's good stuff, Terry. I think that's right. And is there anything else you wanted to mention, or you?
There was like stuff I suppose that I could have talked about, but yeah, like the brain is empty. So let's just move on.
Well,
move along.
Move along. These aren't the dwarves you're looking for. It's good to have Terry with us, and it's also good, of course, to have Amal with us. And it is our job today, chat, to make sure that we are fully invested in an awesome and cheery experience for everyone involved, including Amal. I have no doubt that we will do that, and we will come out of this somehow as he immediately thinks of how does a lore master make an encounter with the dragon be happy. But it will be, because it'll be invested in Professor Tolkien's work, and that's what we care about here on this channel. It's good to see you, Mel. How is life and the universe with you in a general sense, and who are you playing today?
It's
It's fine.
I am. Wait, I had some information that was cool, that was nice, that I had a second ago. God, it's gone now. Oh no, I do. Well, I had. It's nowhere near me now, but the edition of Ursula Le Guin's Worlds of Exile and Illusion that I wrote the introduction to is out now, and that makes me very happy, and
Nice.
I'm very glad of that. And yeah, that's real cool. And also, oh, I'll tell you what else is making me happy. Do you see this scrunchy situation?
Indeed.
It's so, I love it how pretty it is, and I won it in a giveaway from one of my favorite designers, along with a collar, which I am not wearing on stream today, but I gaze at fondly every now and then. So I have I've been wearing extremely fancy Luke's things just for Zooms, and that's nice. It's good. And what else can I say about that? Oh, also, Our Flag Means Death is a wonderful show that I have been watching, and as a consequence, I have, while simultaneously been like adorning myself in beautiful items, I've been demanding of my husband that he tell me that I wear fine things well, which is, a quote from Our Flag Means Death, which is very nice.
That's good. I hoped it wasn't going to be like, that it's just a series of quotes like that. Our scrunchy means death or stuff like that. And I was like, I'm not familiar with the show. So our scrunchy means death. So I was troubled, but now I know, and now it all makes sense. Who are you playing today, Emma?
I am playing a character called The River. She is a woodman of Rosgobel. She's a fighty bard. She wields 2 axes and a harp. Not usually at the same time. Sure, I could roll an acrobatics check for
But
that.
yeah, sometimes.
But yeah, and with her faithful hound of Mirkwood named Stone, yeah, she has survived an encounter with a dragon before, and if this is that same dragon, she'd really rather not have to be cross with.
Yeah.
him.
Also returning, it's interesting that Tren plays in 2 games in which there is a region that the players don't like to go because of all the problems with it. In Eberron, it's called the Grey, which is the Mournland, where this terrible magical cataclysm occurred. And here it's the Waste. And guess who gets to go back there on multiple occasions? At least the Eberron campaign, they're going away from the Grey for a while. But you folks are going to have to go back to the Waste. And if not, you can take it up.
No one listen, the dwarves are super brilliant. Why don't they just invent some flying machines so that we could just zoom over the Waste, not have to do it? Just
It's like Talia's thrush, just bigger.
yeah,
Just
see?
a big version of that. It's
Right.
like,
Wait, we can totally make someone make this in the game. We can totally do. Let's get on the. Sorry, let's start this game. I have my character has several
Have a new
strong
plan.
blue
She got a
Go.
mission now.
to make.
yeah, you're like in suspended animation right between the last show, and they're like, how about you were able to make a big thrush? Like, they're like, okay, sure. I look forward to seeing how all of that works out.
Let's just play a 5e artificer. Artificer?
That's right.
Artificer.
Yeah.
That's right.
How do you pronounce that?
Artificer.
Artificer, and that's exactly Tren's character in the other game. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, but like play that one with unmodified rules, just in this campaign.
The other thing I should say about like a thing I could have reached for in terms of stuff is I just finished playing Spiritfarer recently, and the thing about any sort of like explory type RPG game is that you level up your ability to move quickly across the landscape as you go along. And I just think that one of the things that we should be able to do is commission an aeroplane and be able to avoid the Waste. Maybe encountering worse things in the air. I'm sure that can be arranged.
It's true. Because dragons, as we know, are usually don't fly.
Thus, the meme
We
of
can
like
have-
what? Oh,
A conference in the air with the dragon. I don't care. I just don't want to be rolling stupid shadow nonsense checks every 5 minutes.
I just have this
by
image
crossing the way.
I just have this image of all the people who lost their crap when they saw a possibility of a person of color in Tolkien, because said people have never read Tolkien and don't realize the effect that's. Tell me you've never read Tolkien without telling me you never read Tolkien.
Yeah.
Claim that there are no people of
Literally.
color in it.
Anyway, literally, I'm so mad
but-
about that because
but I
like
don't-
fucking.
I know. I don't want to
Aragorn's
get in that.
introduction is like
I know.
Aragorn has darker skin than everybody
I know.
else.
I don't want to go down that
She's-
rabbit
And it's
hole.
like I'm
She's
so
gone.
angry
She's
about
gone.
it.
I know. I don't want to.
Let her go.
I feel the same. But I was just gonna say, like, I just have this image of being like, fast forward like a couple of months from now, and we've got people in a dirigible as dragons are like flying around. Like the Tolkien fanatics just like, this is wrong, and you're wrong for being here, and it's bad. And anyway, but let's move into the game because we do not, as Triffett says, want to play digressions and diversions D&D. We want to actually get into things, and so we're going to play a little bit of music. I will play, to make everyone feel better, Middle Earth Dawn. I will play Middle Earth Dawn because that's what it is, and you can all feel better as we talk about what happened in our last session. In our last session, the party has come to the Iron Hills to consult with the aforementioned King Dane II. And the reason that this is a little unusual... Hold on a second. Where's my music? Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
It was just quiet.
very quiet.
The reason that this is a little bit unusual is the fact that, of course, King Dane is the king under the mountain. He is usually in the Lonely Mountain, and yet he invited them to his old ancestral seat in the Iron Hills.
Summer home.
Yes, summer home, exactly. And through several moments of journeying, including a much-needed stop by Haven and so forth, the Andronauts have made their way to speak to King Dane II. And it turns out out that the reason that Dane has summoned them is because of increased activity coming from the north, and specifically coming from the Waste, the Dragon Waste, the place where Smaug laid waste and where now other dragons themselves may be creeping. There is news that has come to him of dragon smoke and fire and of possible attacks and dreams and prophecies of the dragons making their appearance. This is obviously hugely problematic. We all know what it's been like dealing with the desolation of the dragon 5 years after the defeat of the last one, and so the emergence of this new one in the scene is a problem, particularly because there is a good possibility, although we don't know for sure, but a good possibility that this dragon is Raynor, the same dragon that the party dealt with at the end of Wilderland Adventures, basically making a deal with him not to destroy them so that he could help take out the Gibbet King. And they did, and he did, and that was great, but now they still have a dragon to deal with, and dragons are, by nature, not particularly willing to just hang out in their tower and, say hi to people. They want to conquer and to expand, and this is Dane and the dwarves' concern. And so, speaking to the party, the King Dane has explained to them that he has established a great hunt to take down this dragon and to eliminate Raynor as a threat to the good peoples of Wilderland and beyond. And so he has asked them to slay a dragon. Now, the problem with this is twofold. A, there's a dragon, and that, there's that. That's kind of the biggest problem. Let's not talk about the elephant or the dragon in the room. But the other problem that exists with this is the fact that they are not the only group, apparently, that are going hunting. There are multiple other groups that have been tasked by King Dane to go find and take down this dragon. And the concern here is that they don't know for sure, the party doesn't, first of all, how reliable all these other groups are. And secondly, as we know, there has been tension of late between men and dwarves. The party's actions with the chainmail shirt outfit from last adventure, from the last pre-fellowship phase session, has helped mitigate some of that, but a lot of tension still remains. And so the party only knows that only when they manage these things do they avoid pissing off all sides. So they have to keep down these tensions. They obviously have to do what King Dane tells them, unless, Inga would like to resign from the council. But presumably they kind of have to do it. And if not them, then who? These other hunting groups may not be as reliable. So there is also a time factor involved with this, because the hunters are going to be heading off to attack this dragon, and of course the dragon itself, if the king's dreams are to be believed, may himself not be long in coming before he decides to wreak havoc again upon the good peoples here in Wilderland and in Erebor. And so with that information, the party has just been told by King Dane that they are being asked basically to destroy this, to destroy this group, to destroy this dragon, and that's going to be important here. So, with all that said, I'm going to hand things back over to the party. Now, we were in the midst of the conversation with King Dane. So we're basically, King Dane has given you whatever information he needs to give you. So I'm going to give the party a chance to ask any questions I might have. Afterwards, I'm going to explain mechanically how the dragon hunt is going to work, because it actually has its own mechanic that we'll talk about. And I'm also going to give the party a chance to gather any information that they may want from the people of the Iron Hills. They may want to research how best to eliminate a dragon, for example. So that'll be up to them before they head off to do the deed. But I do want to caution the party that time is pressing and will be taken into account. So they can't just spend, 6 months preparing. Like, they're going to have to get on moving sooner rather than later. Yes, Terry, what were you going to say?
Does King Bard count as an improvised weapon?
Only if you could find him and he was willing to be wielded. I mean, I guess maybe Tani could lift him, right? But, the others.
Load him into a catapult. Aid him.
Can you imagine Tani talking to him? Ah, King Bard, I have always saved you, and you came from my father's forges of old. Anyway, so I'm going to hand things back over to the party. So you are, so Dane has just explained to you and basically said, I need you to go destroy a dragon, and is kind of looking at all of you. And now I will hand things back over to the party. What would you like to say / do?
Wait, so sorry, has Dane actually said to us that other people are involved?
Has mentioned that there will be other groups, although has given no details.
So let's go back to the Shire. Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Ain't no dragons in the Shire, are there?
No. And I
Not
have it
yet.
on pretty good authority that there won't be.
Wait, no, that's a green dragon.
True.
Do you know who is leading the other parties of people who are en route to fight this dragon?
And he says, well, the other groups you speak of are other ones that have some heroism associated with them, and it seems prudent not to base everything simply upon one group alone, though, if I were being honest, it is my hope that you would be the one who would finally complete the deed. But I cannot trust this only to the four of you, as much as my respect for you is great. A dragon, as I'm sure you all know, is of a entirely different order. And when he says that, he looks directly at you, Bolo. As I'm sure you're aware, dragons are of an entirely different order. And kind of looks right at you. And he says, there are three groups. First, the Brothers Cauldron. Second, the human hero Deathstroke and his companion Skirfira. And last, Lord Elston. You should know Lord Elston already, actually. He is from Dale. Now, you may remember that Lord Elston is basically like Bard's right-hand man, who you've spoken to before. And in fact, I believe there was even a competition with Robar and Elston back in the day that you might remember. So, and Tawny's spoken to Elston as well in the past. So, Elston has actually been away from Dale for some time, trying to gather information, you know, basically leading troops and kind of getting a sense of the lay of the land because of this sort of doubt and uncertainty about the conspiracies and, you know, the tensions that have been rising with the dwarves and the men. So, so you have Lord Elston, you have Deathstroke and Skirfira, and you have the Brothers Cauldron. Now, I would say, let me see if any one of them would know.
There's
Yeah,
a
I'm
fourth
curious
group
as to whether
that I
we've heard of
hired.
them.
It's run by a guy named Haken. You don't know him, though.
He seems like the best possible option. No,
Right.
him and also Longo. I don't know if you. God damn it! So
Wait, so what was the second one's name? Like
the second group is Deathstroke and Skirfira, and that's Skirfira. And I'll give you, and then Lord Elston I've already mentioned. Now, I will give you an opportunity, and I'm going to give this to Inga, an opportunity. You might have heard of the Brothers Cauldron. The other ones you don't know. I mean, you know Lord Elston, but you don't know Deathstroke or Skirfira. You'd have to gather more information about them. But I'll give you a chance to do that. So this would be a, what are we looking at? I guess that would probably be, I was trying to decide if it was maybe traditions, but no, I think we'll say a lore check for this one. No, I take it back. History. History, not lore. I'm sorry. I apologize unreservedly.
Well, it's the same bonus, so it's both plus nothing.
So same deal? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Give me a second.
Inga is not a scholar.
There we go. Okay. Well, you'd actually, the history gives you a little bit of a sense of this possibly. This is actually not the best news you've ever heard, Inga, if these people are anything to be believed. You don't know a lot about them, but you have heard the name. The Brothers Cauldron are not actually blood brothers. They are a company of dwarves led by a dwarven warrior named Kuldri. And it used to be that his brother, Skuldri, fought by his side. And that's why we have the names of the group, the Brothers Cauldron. The thing that makes you worried about it is that this is basically a mercenary dwarf group, if you had to put it that way. And there is some uncertainty about how trustworthy this group is in terms of their, let's say, loyalty. In other words, are they loyal to the dwarves or are they loyal to coin? Now, there's no question that they are very competent as warriors. Like, there's no question they've done good work before. But there are question marks about how loyal they actually are. And it is maybe a measure of Dane's, like, not desperation, but his need for this to actually be dealt with, that he's turning to a group like that. Because I was thinking about the Empire, like bounty hunters, we don't need their scum. It's a little bit like that, right? Like there's a sense of this seems like unusual that Dane would take that step.
While Inga's like getting this information, like Rivers sort of looks a little puzzled and says, I'm not sure I understand. If there are all these different groups all interested in killing the dragon, why are we not working together?
The problem is that the dragons, from what we know, dragons don't just work on their own. They have their own network of spies. And if groups come together, the larger the group, the more likely you'll attract the dragon's attention. Have a dragon challenge you in the open, and you have no chance. It can fly above you. It can breathe fire, assuming this dragon is what we suspect it is. And the chances of even a great group of heroes such as yourselves defeating it in that context is... He kind of shakes his head, and his advisors, there's a couple of advisors standing around, all kind of look grim and stroke their beards, and he says, and so it seems to us that the best chance here lies in secrecy, in stealth, and in tactical care. That's something that a large army or even a large group of warriors won't provide. So we thought it prudent to send multiple smaller groups, less likely that the dragon will know that any of them are coming, or if he is, that he can deal with all of them at once.
You said this dragon breathes fire?
We have concerns that they have, yes. I've seen the dragon smoke in my dreams, and we are worried. Dragons that are younger, eventually will have the flames be lit, and they will go from being dangerous and cold to dangerous and even hotter.
Do we know the name of this dragon that we're hunting?
The only thing you're unsure of, the only thing you know for sure is that you've dealt with the dragon Raynor before. It is possible that Raynor is the dragon that you're talking about, but they don't know for sure. They just, this is based on anecdotal reports and the king's dreams and prophecies. So there's no certainty about that.
So there's a possibility it's the same
it
dragon.
Which, by the way, was not breathing fire when they encountered it the first time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was breathing poisonous vapors.
Right.
I thought it was breathing ice.
Oh, is it ice or was it poisonous vapors?
Yeah, wasn't that like a thing?
He was an ice dragon.
He was a cold drake.
Yeah.
But I mean, in a way, it's sort of both, because he was breathing ice, but there are poisonous vapors associated with it. But it is true that most dragons, as they get older, eventually their fire kindles, and that's when they become particularly dangerous.
But Raynor is already a relatively old dragon, isn't
I thought he was older than, almost as old as Smog, if not older.
No,
that
not
was
Raynor.
That's what I took from it when you described him the
Yeah.
first
So
Let me
like,
go back
how
and-
much time has passed since then? Like 2 years or what?
Couple years. Let me see.
Like, considering for how long dragons live, it sounds a bit weird that.
I
Like,
am
I'm
rooting for-
sorry.
would, like,
I'm sorry. I
develop,
take this back.
Like fire breath.
I take this back. And this is all based upon the assumption that it is the same one, but I take this back. It's not about age. It's because when he first came to you, you may remember that it was after a very long slumber, and that his fires had been low as a consequence. So I think that's basically what it was. I apologize. Not about age. It's about the fact that he had been slumbering for some time. And I mean, very long time, before he
I'm
finally
rooting for
released.
it to be some other dragon besides Raynor. I don't mind killing a new strange dragon under new strange circumstances. But I have a soft spot in my heart for the dragon that didn't kill us. And but anyway,
and accepted your harp.
and accepted my harp, exactly.
Also,
anyway.
I will say to the party one last thing, which is that you could also, in the process of researching this, you could also try to find out about the whole, do dragons, like under what circumstances do dragons gain fire and when don't they? Because it's possible there's other stuff going on that could be part of your research. You have to balance that against the time factor, but so.
Right.
Your Majesty, do you have any special equipment that we could use, possibly, to pierce a dragon's what's that called? Mail?
Hide.
Scales.
Scale.
And he says, "We don't have, I think, any weapons in these times and days that are specifically good simply for piercing the scales of dragons. But there is, of course, information that we might be able to gather you. There are, for example, books that describe places and sometimes means and ways by which dragons may be defeated. We might be able to find some of that information for you. And, of course, to the degree that we can do anything to help sharpen the weapons that you have or anything like that, we'll do so. But I should say that although we want you, obviously, to feel as comfortable as you can in going off after the dragon, there is the time to consider. We don't know how much longer before the dragon attacks or before his spies come about." And he lowers his voice and he kind of beckons you closer a little bit. I mean, basically all of you beckons closer. And he leans in and he says, "It must be said that I worry that the network of spies I've described to you may be either sent by or in league with this dragon.
Oh, we're not.
You know as well as I do that this new tension between dwarves and men has been pushed by others as well. I cannot say that the dragon is in charge of it, but if the spies were to get news back to the dragon..." And he just kind of shakes his head and trails off and then, backs up to his usual proud seated position.
How many people are there in the room right now?
So you've got him, you've got a few of his advisors, probably 2 or 3, and then I would say 4 kind of like the honor guard that are by the stairs to his throne. That's pretty much all you have in the room at the moment.
I have to assume that this information about this dragon is not supposed to leave the room.
And he nods. "Indeed, this must be kept the greatest secret. It was one of the reasons I wasn't certain about sending other groups. The more there are, the more likely they could, of course, reveal that secret, but I have to balance that off against the need for success in this mission. Unfortunately, there is always the concern something could leak. But if my people discover that dragons are actively and threatening them again, first, it will increase their fear, and second, the tension. You already know what the forges look like here. Imagine if they now know they must protect themselves from a dragon."
Who are we to approach about gaining information about how to possibly kill a dragon?
And he says, "I'd recommend that you speak, first of all, to several of my advisors here." And he points them out. Now, one of them, and I've been desperately trying to track down the guy's name, because you've actually met him already.
I thought so.
It was
It's the same
M,
dude at the
but
Erebor.
M something, but I can't remember his last
Moonin.
name. Say again?
Moonin,
Moonin,
right?
yes, that's it. Thank you. I'm
Because I
glad.
was like,
I'm glad
just
you have that
named
note.
him after one of the ravens. Yeah,
Yes, that's right,
so,
Munin,
like,
that's
I
right.
remember that part.
Yes. So yes, Munin is one of the ones that he recommends
That
to
was
you.
years ago.
I
that we met,
know.
like,
That's why I was
IRL
like,
time, years
I didn't
ago,
have it on my
remember that.
notebook. Good work on the notes. Thank you. Yes, Munin is one of them.
Well,
And
no, I
then-
didn't have to look at the notes. I did look at the notes, but I didn't find it. I was just like, when you said M, right.
Oh,
it
okay,
was
good.
named after one of the
I'm
ravens,
glad it
so has
triggered
to
the
be
memory.
Moonin.
Good. So yeah, Munin is one, and then he's got a couple of others that, but you get the impression that like Munin would probably be the main guy. There's also, of course, information that you could gather. You could, talk to some people about the other groups, but he doesn't have any like specific go here to find this out. I mean, that's going to be based on your own, recognizance, I guess, in terms of how you address that, finding out about
So-
other stuff.
Inga has lived for a few years at the Iron Hills. How much does she know about as far as like the local library goes, like the Royal Library or whatever it would be called? I don't
Yeah,
know.
there are a couple of sort of local record vaults, basically, that
Yeah.
contain some information. Although it should be said that the Iron Hills do not have the level that the Lonely Mountain does. The Lonely Mountain actually, on purpose, was used as a place for even more records to be kept, insofar as that was where the dragon had been. So a lot of sages and so forth kind of flocked to that area. But now that there are some it's gotten a little hot, and the heat's been too high in the kitchen, so to speak, because of all the stuff going on between Dale and Erebor. That's why that hasn't been a place that you've gone to right now. But there are record vaults here, and you do think that there are a couple of places, especially if Munin gives you a hand, that you might be able to track down information relating to dragons, and also thinking about other sort of plans to arrange it, is what I would say. And I'll describe the dragon hunt part when we're done with this part of things. So yeah.
Where was this dragon allegedly seen, or where do we suspect to find him?
In the north. At least we've heard him in the waste. And my sources suggest that it would be in the direction of the dragon towers, the watchtowers. You've been to one of those, Zerinkabar. That may be one place to start, but there could be others. But they are, I am sad to say, in the north and in the waste. That is where the dragons have spent their time. Of course, we could try to bait the dragon here, but again, dealing with a dragon even for the dwarves would be far riskier if we're doing it in open ground or even in our own mountain fortresses. Even if the dragon were to set waste to all the fields out there, surely you must have people that you care about in the fields and the plains and the grounds between here and Erebor. And immediately, all of you are like thinking about one in particular, I imagine, River. He's just like, and all of those would be set to waste. We have no ability to counteract them.
I have to
Can
ask.
you throw us back on the full map instead of just the
Yes,
upper
I can
marches
do
map?
that, sure.
Please, thank you.
Bolo says, my king, would it be necessary to kill the dragon, or we all know that dragons are rational creatures? Might we convince it to go back to the north?
And
Again?
he says, my concern about that is that dragons are notorious for saying one thing and doing another. And even if the dragon agreed to stay in its tower for some period of time, dragons have long memories. Eventually, the dragon would break its own laws, would break its own word, and would come down to destroy the places of the north, or he would be forced into doing it from rivalry with others. That's why it is said, when a dragon is near, your sword must be nearer. And I do not wish to spend the next 20, 30 years dealing not only with tensions between men and dwarves, but the imminent threat of a dragon.
Problem for tomorrow, Andonauts.
I think it would probably be wise to, once we used all of our resources here, to go back to the Erebor, search there for more information, and then go to the north through the Daylands instead of through the waste.
And he says, it's up to you in terms of how you want to do this, but I will warn you of the time factor. My dreams have gotten stronger and stronger over the last several weeks, and I have learned not to dismiss them. Perhaps it's true that you would gather more information, and that might be of value. I don't want you to rush into anything, of course, but at the same time, if you take a day too long, the dragon could come upon you and all your preparations would have gone for naught. And if you return to the Erebor, I will say that you may also run the risk now of attracting attention. There is no way to avoid having you come here. Given the circumstances with what's happening in the Lonely Mountain and Dale, I didn't feel it was safe to be able to have you meet there. Now that you're here, though, returning to Erebor, you might attract even more notice, and that could be disastrous.
To be fair, I did not make a secret of that I wanted to travel to the Iron Hills anyway, and I live at the Erebor.
And he nods, he says, that's true.
Weird.
That may work in our favor, yes.
River doesn't say this, but obviously is like, I was here to receive a title. So, but, yeah. River adds to that, just like, she's being very kind of quiet and thoughtful throughout this, and every mention of the waste has her looking sort of slightly farther and farther away, as she kind of, just falls into her own head a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But she she says, we should see what we can find out here first, and what preparations that we can make. Especially, you mentioned, Your Majesty, the possibility of improving our weapons, our armor, perhaps. The only time we faced a dragon before this, it was not our intention to do so. So I imagine that the dwarves of the Iron Hills have perhaps made advances in technology where dragon proofing or dragon.
Well, I do have a new dragon
fighting is
dirigible.
concerned.
No, just kidding.
God, I genuinely wasn't even going there. I wasn't even going
Sorry.
there in my head. But and she wouldn't say that to the king. She would be anyway. She'd say like,
Yeah.
so if we could speak to if you could direct us to your artificers or your smiths, that would be also of great help.
And he nods and says, I'll do so, of course. And also I will do what I can to be able to send word ahead to those that are friendly to us, to be able to give you shelter and to provide aid to the extent that they can. Once you get past, of course, the northern Dalelands and you come close to the waste, and or if you just go straight into the heath, then, unfortunately, our support decreases, and there's not as much that we can do there. But you've been there more recently than me. I know that you've seen it for yourself. It's not a pleasant task or a pleasant sight, and I wouldn't send you on it if I didn't think the need was great. So what I will say is, if the party, unless the party has anything else specific to ask, then we're going to do a audience reaction to sort of see how things went with the king, and that will partly determine the stuff that you get, and then I'll talk about what you get, and then we'll talk about the dragon hunt part. But yeah, go ahead, Tony.
The only thing that Tawny would mention is, especially since King Dine just mentioned that, is also if I could speak to any of your scholars who might know of ways that we can make it easier to resist the depressing nature of the environment. Something that can help us bolster our spirits so as not to be so weighed down.
Reed mace.
And he, no, that would be.
Not read me.
Well, if you
King's
go
Oil.
south, you can
Faster.
find a reed mace. Shut
Right.
up.
Get there
No,
faster, we'll kick everybody's ass and we'll run back.
No, he says, indeed, I think perhaps that Mernon may be able to give you information about that as well. I am sad to say that the dwarves' experience in this has generally been to endure, and I have sometimes thought that simple endurance is not enough to mitigate the effects of the shadow. Indeed, I knew one dwarf who was so weighed down by his need or lust for something he desired that it was almost disastrous. And he kind of, his gaze sort of goes far away for a minute, and then he shakes his head. He says, in any case, yes, you can certainly consult with several of our sages, and we'll see if there's anything we can do to bolster you. One thing that we can provide certainly is cram. It is, as you will know, a dwarven waybread, very suitable and nourishing over distances. And you, of course, most of you who are, have had some familiarity with cram, it is very nourishing over distances. And that's where it ends. It is not delicious,
Tasty.
or it's not, it is very
No
much not
lembas
like,
bread.
yeah, it's not lembas bread. I mean, it'll keep you going, but, so
Nice.
anyway.
I suppose the last thing that I would mention doesn't really so much involve us and our preparations as yours. Since you did mention a few moments ago the increasing, hopefully for the moment stayed, divide between humans and dwarves. If there is anyone in your forges who still knows how to make the sort of arrows that King Bard used to take down Smaug, I strongly recommend you make as many as you can.
And he nods and he says, this, of course, Tawny Bear, is where you've come to it. This is the problem. Part of why our smiths are so angry is that they have lost some of those. That arrow, remember, came from the elder days, and our smithing skills have diminished now, although it is not something I can speak of openly. I will speak to them and see what can be done, but I must warn you not to expect much. When it comes to the dragon-slaying arrows, there are none now left, except for perhaps the one black arrow itself, which King Bard keeps by himself.
Also, this would require that there would be a gap in the scales of the worm.
Indeed, that's true.
So,
But Smaug's ego, perhaps, was not limited to him. I have heard that dragons are known for arrogance and belief they cannot be defeated, but I have no direct knowledge of such things. Sorry, go ahead, River.
I think what we should remember from the story of Smaug's defeat is not the arrow that slew him or the bare patch on his breast that was exposed, but the number of people working together that made those things converge. If it weren't for Bilbo seeing that bare patch, if it weren't for Bard having that arrow, if it weren't for a thrush communicating to him to aim at that precise place. I speak of songs, perhaps I'm wrong about this, but no one element resulted in Smaug's destruction. It took everyone working together to make it happen in the first place, and I think that we would do well to remember that.
And Dane nods solemnly.
All right, well, I think if we have received our commission here, then we should go and make our preparations.
Inga would like to bring something else up, but only if like this topic is like over, because it has nothing to do with this, like the dragon thing.
Okay, well, the one other thing, as soon as this part of the audience is over and you get that roll, he is going to convey a title upon the river. You can ask him this other.
Oh.
You can ask him this other thing. Yeah, he hasn't forgotten. You can ask him this.
I assumed that happened off screen. Okay.
We are going to have it mostly happen off screen, but
Yeah.
but yes, that's going to happen now, and then also, and then Inga, you'll have a chance to ask him about that, and then we'll do that dragon hunt thing I said. So, but if everyone's done with this particular side of things, then I would like you to make, please, a traditions roll to see what the result of this audience was. And I think, I don't remember if it was the River who did this with the initial introduction. I want to say that the River was the one, but it also could have been Inga or Tawny. Might have been Inga, actually.
It would have been Inga,
I think it was probably Inga.
Like
so Inga, you
direct
should do that too,
subordinate.
yeah. So then you would make a traditions roll.
Oh wait, hang on. I'm just scrolling back, and I have
see the dice rolls?
Yeah. I think. Well, okay. So there are two of us made traditions rolls, but I can't tell how far. Wait. Okay. So the last two traditions rolls were Inga and me, but I don't know. I had a 22 and Inga had a 7.
Yeah,
so...
I saw that. I think that must have been previous though, because you had like con saves and stuff like that since then.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think I don't. Yeah. So I'm not sure. I'm going to guess that it was Inga. Either way, I think it makes sense that Inga do the. I mean, it's up to you. Actually, you all can do what you like, but I would assume that Inga being the one to do the traditions thing, either Inga or Tawny, would make sense because of the dwarf friend connection, etc.
Yeah, that's true. I figure it goes. I'm happy with any of them. If you guys do it, I will inspire one of you. If I do it, then that's fair either way. Cause, yeah.
In that case, I would like to do it.
Okay.
You would do it. All right, I will
Like
inspire.
Deathstroke, basically. So bardic inspiration or regular inspiration?
This is in regular inspiration.
This
So
is
this
regular
is
inspiration.
yeah. So you're doing this at advantage.
Could also do the bardic inspiration. I could give you a gift die.
You could.
That
I
seems a
mean,
bit
it's
overkill.
Do you break into song for that?
No, it's a bardic inspiration is, you know, through words or your presence alone is the I think description of that. Would
River's that
you like
impressive.
that?
She goes up to Inga.
I mean-
You got this. You know you got this.
Let me even just say this in terms of play. Yeah, Warden's Gift. You can inspire others through stirring words, through music, or by your presence alone. Can gift 1d8 to person of choice. In fact, yes. So just on the assumption that we're going to get a short rest before we do this, I think that the way that River is here is that she is aware of being a guest and of being someone who is about to receive a great honor. And everything that she has just said about togetherness and fighting together and coordinating is she is said with warmth and conviction, however quiet and concerned. And while doing so, she has sort of almost without realizing it reached out to like put her hand on Inga's shoulder in a kind of gesture of solidarity. And I'm going to say that was conferring a Warden's Gift die. So do your roll at
Getting cold, yeah.
advantage and then roll a d8.
Nice. Okay, cool.
35.
Traditions, yeah?
Exactly.
Gregory? Traditions,
I'm sorry.
yeah?
Say again. Yes, traditions. That's right.
Yeah, 18. The other one was the D8, right?
Yep.
Oh, I was like, why is that not showing up on the map? And the answer is because I had the wrong thing.
An unnatural 20.
Hey.
Okay, hang on one second as I get this. There we go. I was like, where is the dice
Does this
roller?
count as a natural 20?
Okay.
Oh no, it would still be an unnatural one.
It'd be a yes, or as some
Yeah.
people like to call it, a dirty 20. Although I was like, I don't know, unnatural 20. Let's go with that.
Dirty 20.
dirty 20. Okay. So this is actually so the King Dane, as you finish and hear that discussion, and Dane sort of nods his head and he says, I am most pleased that you've been willing to help me in this, and that you can help all of these people. I would expect nothing less of the friends of dwarves and the heroes you've already proven to be. I will add what I can to this. First, I will give each of you gold and precious gems, amounting to 15 gold pieces. And now I will say, before everyone is just like, 15 gold, that's nothing. In Adventure Middle Earth, that's a little bit of a bigger deal. So that's a fair
Each
fair
or
bit.
all of us?
Each.
Each.
15
That's a
per.
good deal.
So we're
Wow.
talking 60 gold pieces
Nice.
worth. The second thing he says, also, I'll give you the chance to learn 2 other things that might be of value to you. And the sort of mechanical sort of quality of this is you have a choice of 4 things from which you must choose 2. You can either A, learn more about the other hunters. I mean, like more details about like routes and who they are and all that kind of stuff. You could learn more about the dragon's lair, the potential of the dragon's lair. You could learn more about dragons in general, or you could theoretically ask for a richer reward. You could increase the reward. So you
How
have
many
2
of
of those
those?
that you can choose. You have 4, and you can choose 2 of them. And now when I say about this thing about research, the reason that you're like, well, I thought I was already going to research. This you get now without having to take time to do it.
Ooh.
So that's
I
the
would
big difference.
say like both of the dragons are probably the most.
Yeah. I like so the options are learn about the other groups, learn about dragons in general, learn about this dragon's lair specifically.
And in theory, assuming it's the right dragon, but yeah.
Right. And what was the fourth one?
Asking for a richer reward, so
Okay,
increasing
so
the
so
offer.
3 knowledge things plus potentially richer reward.
Right.
Okay.
And that's in addition to the 60. The 60 gold you just get. So this is
Cool.
addition to that.
Like gold.
So I think
Also, chat, by the way, they got this because of how successful the audience check was, in case you're curious.
hey,
So.
hooray, well done.
I
Inga.
think the lair itself would be important.
I think the lair
Well,
yeah.
like well done, Amal. Like I would have rolled an 8 without the...
You work together just like you
We
did. They
work
did to defeat
together!
Smaug. That's what we're all saying.
fucking
See?
teamwork.
Teamwork makes the dream work. Right?
It does. So yeah, I also think that. Well, here's the thing, right? I think focusing on the one I'm happy to eliminate is the richer reward, because like as far as River is concerned, this is like a year's income for a village probably for Roscoebel. And she wants to give it to Haven. She wants to like send this money on to Haven to do stuff with. So richer reward, potentially unnecessary, especially considering that we want to be alive to enjoy it. But I am very curious about the fact that we can learn about the other parties, because it does strongly suggest that, like, you know, they are a major portion of this encounter and stuff. But
Could be a red herring.
that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
Also, we are literal heroes. Don't forget about that. And these are NPCs.
NPCs. Wow. Dang.
Wow.
Somewhere
It's
there's a
that
campaign
dragon-like
who's like,
arrogance
yeah,
that's gonna get us
right?
absolutely everywhere, right? That's
Somewhere
great.
there's like a campaign that's just kind of like, oh, whatever. They call themselves the Andronauts. Pfft, like, come on, right?
Oh, that's the Infinity and Beyond crew you're talking about in that case.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see ArvCon rivalry is already starting. Tier A team, tier
What do we
1.
know? What do we know about these Andronauts? Well, they seem to have a really hard time crossing rivers. It's weird. But,
All right,
like,
if we lay down a river, a portable river, it would be perfect.
Portable river. Like a
they have
canal.
trouble crossing rivers, but one of them is called River. What is even going on
These
there?
people are a mess, all right? You can't trust them.
Now I'm just imagining them putting down like a soap slide that they put out in summer and gardens.
Yeah.
Slip and slide.
A slip and slide. You're just walking along in the waste. Suddenly there's a slip and slide.
We can't stop. We just keep going and going.
But it's so much fun. And that's how the
Oh,
dragon
God.
won.
I'm just imagining like a dragon that extends its tongue out of its lair like a slip and slide as a trap.
Definitely, I agree. It's like it just slide right into its mouth. Wow.
God, anyway.
Oh my
All
god.
right, wow. Yeah,
Since
I think
I'm
we
in
solved
both groups,
this.
I can't speak to any of this.
Yeah, I was
So-
gonna say. No, I know.
You
You're
are
always
literally a professional actor. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
all you can do
Here
is mock
now.
the Espergenesis team, like, and then
Right.
have
Oh, yeah.
Espergenesis mock you all back. You know.
I don't even
Oh, this hurts.
I don't know them. I literally just don't know enough about any of the other groups. This is the only group that exists to me. So
I will tell you this.
Yes, and that is enough discs that they need. So
At some point, Tawny is basically going to kind of lean over to the group and say, okay, what's the over-under on their, loyalty to coin being the dragon's treasure, and they are the spies that are going to be reporting back. I think that's where Tawny's head is right now.
All of the
That-
groups.
that's,
or-
no, that's the brothers.
Oh, the
who
brothers.
do.
Yeah.
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 Well, so we
that
don't know.
seems like so obvious, though, right?
Well, Inga's the only one who knows that right now. We haven't actually
Right.
talked about
That's
that.
right.
So,
None of the rest of you would know.
Yeah,
not-
okay, but actually, getting knowledge about, in that case, I would say, getting knowledge about dragons in general,
yeah.
plus about the groups.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I am very
vote-
curious about the lair. I'm also sort of weirdly, I don't know, hoping that, I don't know. I was going to say hoping that we don't have to get to the lair, but then it's like, oh wait, no, I also don't want to be confronted by a dragon in the open.
Because
I don't know.
if we delay too long, his lair will be irrelevant.
Yeah, exactly. Okay,
And
definitely
also,
dragons
it
in
might
general.
just be a different dragon. That's also a thing. Or he might just not be home. That's also an option.
Yeah. So definitely dragons in general we want to learn about.
Okay.
And then what was okay, what rest of the group?
Well,
what
Brett
do you
didn't
think?
say anything yet, right?
Bolo's vote is for the lair itself, which I think would give us a great advantage, and the other groups, because they're kind of a wild card, and we don't know what we're up against beyond the dragon itself. We could be caught off guard if we don't learn more about them. So that's Bolo's 2 votes.
Yeah, because like it's not about getting an advantage to get the dragon who lives at the lair, it's about getting an advantage on finding where all the treasure is hidden in that lair. Isn't that the case?
But no, I really just thought it's all about the party and completing our mission for King Dane.
Yeah, it's nothing to
That's
do
all
with
I'm worried
treasure.
about.
Yeah.
It's about the party making sure they survive while I make off with all the treasure.
The dragon is that way.
Dragon's horde.
He scurries
Dragon's
off to
horde.
the
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
vault. Meanwhile,
I think that learning more about dragons in general is a good move, just because that is otherwise a big thing that we're going to be doing with our research time. But yeah, I don't know. I'm torn.
Is there anything that we couldn't get in our research time that we can only get now? Type of thing.
But it's about it's a good question.
Well, yeah. So there's a couple of notes about that. Yes, the quality. Well, so when you actually do the research on your own, you'll have to make another check. The bigger issue is the time factor, and if the check doesn't the quality of the information will be based on the level of success, and you won't know that because I'm going to know that. So,
Sure.
This information you're getting is definitely prime grade A info, right? Like you know that it's going to be that good, whereas the other stuff is much more speculative. Now, if you roll a spectacular roll, then obviously it's likely to be pretty good info, but there's no guarantee of that, obviously. And I assume all of you are not going to want to blow inspirations like they're going out of style just to get this info. So that's all. But it is intended to be something where you make a choice based on the various factors. So it's all balancing acts, really. Also, Garlic, that's so great. Congratulations. I'm really glad
Balancing
to hear
axe, you say?
that. Balancing acts. Yes, it takes the edge off of your otherwise roll.
Hey.
That was a deep cut. Hello. All right, before we go into puns, let's
Okay.
Is
So-
Bolo holding all the party treasure, Arinth? I don't know. I don't think.
Good light tweet.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, how does Bolo feel about more treasure versus the other information?
Well, his lust for treasure's sake has faded over time. So he's really just worried about, and in fact, it's not just the having of gems and gold. It's like finding things that have meaning. That's what his treasure hunter thing is all about, really.
Great.
Make a deception roll.
Insight.
Any bonuses after that excellent speech by Bolo?
You know what really matters is the friends we met. All right, plus 5.
Double advantage, Bolo.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay, so
So wait, what are the votes right
quickly.
now? So we have everybody votes for info on the dudes, right?
actually, okay, so let's go one at a time. Who wants info on the dudes? Okay. Let's go through all of them and make sure we know.
Yeah.
Who wants info on dragons in general? Okay. Who wants info on the lair specifically? Okay, well, it seems like we are pretty
And gold.
clear on 2 out of 3.
I was gonna say, and who wants the gold? Bolo's.
Okay, so it looks like we want dragons in general and the other groups.
It sounds like the vote.
That seems
Though there was
3 out
there
of
was
4
a
each time.
yeah, I was gonna say there was a dragon's lair as the final, but okay. So I'm gonna, so I don't get confused about this. I will give you this information, and then we'll then title, and then we'll do very quickly, and then we'll talk about Inga whatever you need to say separately, and then I want to move on to talk about the dragon hunt part of this. So, because you said this has nothing to do with this current topic, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
This is completely unrelated.
all right, so let's start with talking about, so for dragons in general, and then we'll talk about these adventurers. So here's the information that you know about this, and this is stuff which is gathered partially from Munin, who talks to you about this, and otherwise. And you're actually going to be given a fair bit of lore, and it turns out that as you're getting this benefit, you actually occurs to you this is probably a good one to choose because you're going to get a lot of possibilities here. The first is, so there are some dragons which are hot and breathe fire. Their lesser cousins, the cold drakes, are cold and breathe out poisonous vapors. Now, almost certainly that was what you were dealing with. If this is the same dragon who has now apparently had the fires relit, then it is possible that they have simply, again, after a long slumber, had their fires rekindled. Or, and this is more problematic, you find in one of the deepest vaults, basically, that the Iron Hills possesses, a book which talks about ancient sorceries from the north, in which there were sorcerers that were able to, foul spirits really, that were able to use their magics to essentially ignite a fire within a given drake, essentially take a cold drake and make it into a dangerous, even more dangerous, fire-breathing dragon. But that magic is ancient and enormously powerful and seem to be beyond the power of this age. And if it is true that that has been done in this case, then it means two things. One, that this dragon is far more dangerous than the one you dealt with a couple years ago. And
Gandalf is the spy.
Exactly, and Gandalf is evil, no. And secondly, it means that someone else is behind this pulling the strings. That's if that's the case.
The Gibbet King 2.
Yeah, exactly. The return of the Gibbet King. No. So yes. So that's the first thing you know. The second thing that you learn is that dragons have a soft underbelly. That one you probably, Bolo, you could have known that by heart because, of course, Bilbo is the one who knew that.
I thought that was like just a Smaug thing.
No, because remember, one of the reasons that Smaug, now they do have scales everywhere, but their underbelly tends to be softer because of the jewels that encrusted their belly. That's right. So that means that this. I feel
like an idiot now.
Now, admittedly, there's obviously going to be a somewhat of a dragon horde, but it's not going to be the size of the horde that was possessed by Smaug in in 5-6 years ago, right? Or 7 years ago, I guess we're at now. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be much smaller. So there may be a possibility of finding vulnerable spots there. The other thing is that dragons, you also learn that dragons can confuse their victims with spells and foul vapors. And you had a little bit of experience of dealing with that confusion, even when he was not automatically an enemy, if it was Raynor. You know that dragons delight in riddles, and that's something which, a lot of this information, Bolo, as you're gathering it, you actually note in this book that there have been a couple of addendums and sort of like marginalia, right? Like notes that have been added in a fast-moving hand, and you're almost certain that you recognize the hand of Bilbo in some of these books, having written next to dragons as someone who actually encountered them and still exists. You know that dragons delight in flattery. The most absurd and obsequious flattery you can do, the better, especially the more powerful and egotistical the dragon is that's involved. You have heard rumors, although this is unconfirmed, that dragons were made by the enemy to serve in his terrible wars, and I mean the enemy of ancient days, names like Morgoth and things like that are from ancient times. But again, it's all rumor, it's uncertain, and certainly no dragon has ever admitted that they were created for anything. But it is possible, some scholars suggest that that is the case. They do know also that dragons' senses are very keen, but especially their smell can be confused by unfamiliar scents. So if you bring something they haven't smelled before, like a rare perfume or a hobbit, it baffles them, as Smaug was himself baffled. And in the marginalia, Bolo, you notice the note says, "Not that I would know what it's like!" ! And then underlined in that margin. And then the last note is that, like snakes, dragons eat heavily when they feast, and they take some time to sleep off a big meal. And in such moods, they can be drowsy and vulnerable, or even sometimes lulled into a deeper sleep through song. But that's assuming that they've just eaten. So, you could send a bunch of horses out, wait for the dragons to eat it, and then, you could do that.
Oh, I was thinking an olifant, maybe, but sure,
that too. So that's what you know, but that's a lot of information, obviously, that you gather about dragons in general.
So I really like I can imagine River saying, coming across the like rumors that dragons were made by the enemy and stuff like that, saying, "No, I have heard that that orcs were made by the enemy, but by torturing elves. Is it not possible that dragons existed before and were simply turned to dark purposes by the enemy?"
Yeah,
It's my headcanon.
and the dwarven scholars, including Munin, sort of suggest that that is quite a real possibility. Also, mechanically, I want to mention to the party that I talked about a number of things just then. To be specific, mechanically, the confusion thing is resisted usually through wisdom. Okay,
Great.
the riddle game is, you're going to be shocked at this, riddle. It actually is, I know, it's amazing. Flattery, that's all about traditions.
What?
Yep.
I have
Traditions.
Okay.
They are not
alright.
deceived just by normal, human level deception. The knowledge of the enemy serving in terrible wars. Now, this one is high risk, high reward, which means I'm really rooting for you to use it. And the high risk, high reward is this uses insight. If you can convince them maybe that they were in fact created, you could drive them to make a mistake. And by drive them, I mean drive them to anger. It's up to you if you want to piss a dragon off, but hey,
Boy.
just saying.
And that is insight, you said.
That's insight. And then the last two are the keen senses, that whole thing. And that is actually derived on the basis of stealth. You can use basically stealth in that regard to baffle them. And then the last thing is, and this one I think you probably know, lulled into a deeper sleep through song, is performance. So.
Wow, what a great team we have for doing most of these things. Hooray!
When
Well-
we found out earlier about the sorcerers from the north, like those were presumably humans?
They might have been, or they could have been, in some cases, foul spawn, some say, of Morgoth himself. Remember that many of those who we call sorcerers turned out later on to be creatures like the Gibbet King, evil spirits that then manifested in different forms. One last note about that lore. So I gave you, I think, like 7 bits of information or so on, but you get something else as a benefit of this. 3 of those are associated with, welcome, Fjord Kelvin.
Makes no sense.
You get Fjord Kelvin, who will accompany you on your trip, and will defeat people by throwing an iceberg at Smog. No, the thing I wanted to mention is that these also are going to give you preparation dice. So you're going to get 3 of these preparation dice. Each preparation die is a d6. And during the battle, so this is only during the battle with the dragon, okay? You don't use this at other times. Any player hero can take and roll. Actually, I'll take, no, not 3, 4. I'm sorry, 4. Because one for each
so
of you.
One of them can be preparation H.
What? No. 4 preparation. You lose yours for that joke. No, 4. God damn it. 4 preparation dice. Each one of them is a d6. And during the battle, any of you can take any of those preparation dice and add the result to any one attack roll, damage roll, saving throw, ability check, or add the result to your AC as a reaction to an attack.
Nice.
Now, each preparation die can only be used once, and you can only use one of them at a time, so you can't be like 4d6, like it's one at a time. But it is a pool, so if like Tani used 2, and Bolo used 1, and the River used 1, that's fine. Like it's up to you how you want to distribute them. But that's a pool to be used only during the battle against the dragon. So you can see this was a good call in the sense that you got a lot of extra mechanical and lore benefits from that.
Inge would like to ask Munin something specific during the research about the dragons.
Okay, sure.
So the king mentioned that King Bart has retrieved the Black Arrow, correct?
That's right.
So, and Smaug did crash into the lake, correct?
Yes.
So one would think that probably either the people of the lake or some other people might have studied the remains of Smaug.
But it's not. If what you're asking is they might have learned how to make an arrow of that kind, it's not the knowledge of how to.
No, not about the arrow. It's about dragon anatomy.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Well, the problem was actually, so they never dredged the lake. I mean, if you think about it, it would be almost impossible to dredge the lake. They did have people who went down and dove for it, and there was one particularly enterprising young man who was able to retrieve that black arrow, at almost dying in the process. But that's it. Other than that, the skeleton of Smaug still lies in the lake below Lake Town.
So there is, I don't know if anyone is familiar with the works of Ken Liu, but in the second volume in the Dandelion trilogy, there is a spectacular sort of like R&D session about how to fight the dragon-like creatures that exist in this book.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely in my head right now, because one of the things that they're like is, how do they make fire though? If we figure out how they make the fire in their bellies, then maybe we can figure out how to make them explode from the inside and stuff. And I do see like River's mind going along those tracks and stuff. But so actually, I don't know if this is worth. I mean, this is all information we've been given. I do wonder if like River would. I can see her being very interested in the difference between hot and cold drakes. So, but we haven't started our like actual research. This is probably more of like a when we do our own research stuff, right?
Like what is so if like the cold thing is like not literal, that they're like not like ice drakes, but like instead it's just they're just drakes that don't spit fire, and that's why they're cold, not hot.
Well, that's
right,
yeah,
right?
And that's basically
that's
what it
just
is. I mean, like they they are sort of lesser cousins, right? They are not. This is why Smaug was so dangerous. But like, I mean, I don't want to make a game analogy, but if they've leveled up Raynor into a sort of into Smaug, that's bad, obviously, if that's what's happened.
Well, he chose that archetype, yeah.
But this is the thing: is like. Essentially, what River is wondering is there like if the only difference between like because okay, remind me, in the wastes are there not like fire swamps and things like that?
No, I mean the waste is really more just utter desolation,
Okay.
and so like flat land, dust, no water. The water that's there is poisonous, and so forth.
I'm trying
and
to
a
remember
lot of
is
wind.
I'm trying to
so-
remember if at any point in the adventuring or in this terrain, like River has seen things like I feel like there was at some way earlier, like in a dream partly, but like there was a sort of swamp gas ignite situation. I'm just trying to get like
yes,
that
now that's
igniting
different.
gas.
Yes. There was swamp gas. That's different. Yes, that could be ignited, but it wasn't the kind of thing that like you walked in and all of a sudden it was burning. But yes, it could be because of the strength of it. Although I also want to say that swamp gas, I think you might be remembering that as being far southwest of here when you were trying to find the tower that always moves, and you dealt with the orcs with the chain and all that stuff.
Yeah,
that was where the marsh gases were.
There we go. Okay. So the reason I'm wondering, this isn't because I want to get some marsh gas. It's because I want to
6 months later.
Air. No.
Lonely
it is just
Mountain is
because
destroyed.
I'm just trying to get a sense of like to what degree is River's natural like nature sciences education here and stuff. Like in terms of thinking of cold and hot drakes, is it like, okay, well, is the difference really that you actually need something about those vapors, those poisonous things that they spew and stuff like that, are actually the means to igniting the fire that comes from them eventually? If that's the case, then can we make them burn up faster, or can we or something
like extinguish them? The problem is the information that they have, and again this is based upon some limited information, or explode the dragons.
Just get like a giant cork
Yeah,
and stuff it in their mouth.
It'll find
And
another
two
exit.
smaller ones like for the nose holes.
Absolutely. I look forward to the administering of this cork. It'll be great.
Listen, lull it into a deep sleep, shove some saltpeter down its throat, and see what happens.
I just had this image of like someone standing there with it, like, "Oh, black cork, I have saved you forever." Fire the black cork.
Well, when his tongue is out, we just put it on the end and it slides into its mouth.
Yeah.
No. We pull it further out, do a knot in it, and then when it like wakes up and it like pulls the tongue back,
Yes.
it's stuck there. Like,
I'm a fan of the fact that
right?
none of this would wake the dragon up at any point. Like, just, you know, it's just
It's
like,
Of course not,
what a
because we
terrible
are
dream.
acting
Ah,
by cartoon logic, which is the only good logic.
exactly.
Right?
So-
it has to work.
Have a notion of like slaying dragons is about like a hero heroically pulling a bow back or a hero striding forward with a sword. How many ways of defeating dragons actually involve just exploding them from the
Right.
inside?
So
Uh,
the sense that you
Well, in
have.
Beowulf, it concerns like two dudes stabbing at him at the same time.
The sense that you have of this, again, from somewhat limited information, is that it's not like the gases that these vapors sort of build up and therefore could, you know, explode the creature if it was kind of blocked. It's more that there is some, and there has been a lot of rumor and discussion about it, but the problem is that there's never been a live dragon willing to allow this, you know, analysis. So it's always based upon autopsies after the fact, which are very rare. And, you know, the last dragon that you did an autopsy on, or you could have, is at the bottom of a lake. So the major concern is that there is some sort of central furnace, which is quite possibly magically formed in some way, which allows these dragons to basically generate the fire that they then breathe from their bellies. And we know that even when they're asleep, this thing is working perpetually because it's said, remember, that when Smaug was asleep, smoke kind of curled out of his nostrils. You could see a little bit of like the, you know, the fire out of his mouth. So it's always going, right? And so there's no way to kind of turn out the gas. There's always a pilot light, right, in his belly. Like, you can't turn it out from what you know. Now, the cold drakes, this is the reason why it's so troubling. Basically, the rumors of cold drakes becoming hot drakes, you think is more likely to be they were just young dragons that had not yet gotten their flame yet. But a cold drake is supposedly, as you all pointed out, because I made a mistake about his age, he is an old drake, and he's been around for a while, and so he is what he is. Like, he was never going to be, apparently, going to become Smaug. So again, if this is Raynor, and it's not another dragon, and you don't know that yet, if it is the Raynor, though, then that suggests that something has been done to turn him from one to the other, which takes great magic to do.
About the furnace thing, like, because that's like a thing that like people would know probably from these regions, right? Is the fire like literal fire spitting, like plasma, or is it like more like burning oil?
No, it's actual, like, you know, flame, like a flamethrower, basically. That's
okay. Yeah, okay.
You know, at an incredible like distance, because of dragon. So yes, that's what I would say about that.
Okay. So that's our information for dragons in general.
That's our information about dragons in general.
Nice.
Now, the second bit is about these people that you're up against, and the hunters. And there's information that you will find of value, and some which may perhaps trouble you. Okay. So first of all, let me...
Trouble.
Okay. Let me just take these items. I have a couple of these, and I want to show them on stream because I have pictures.
The coffee is wearing off. Oh god.
How you feel?
Okay.
Oh. Now everybody has to.
Yeah.
No.
All right,
Yon's traveling across the world at the speed of Zoom.
Exactly. Okay. All right. First one is I'm going to put them up on stream here. And the first one is about the Brothers Cauldron. So these that you see here are, at least initially, the Brothers Cauldron, but it is important to remember that Skuldry is the one you see on the right. That one is dead. He actually perished on another quest. So,
Good. I mean, oh,
so what you know now is the one on the left is the one who is the leader, Culdry. And as I've mentioned, Culdry and the Brothers Cauldron are a highly respected from a martial, not marital, marital. They're married. A martial point of view. They are highly respected from a martial point of view. They are extraordinarily effective in battle. They have been very good at going up against dealing with great odds and coming out on the other side. But there have been rumors that part of the way they've done that is perhaps by figuring out ways to deceive or betray their enemies before they actually deal with them. I mean, nothing wrong with that, I suppose, if the enemies are the bad types. But these people don't seem to have a lot of scruples about what sort of prospects they take on. So if it's about doing this or if it's about, committing a crime in the name of extra money, they probably, although they've always fiercely denied this, would be willing to do something like that. So they do not have a great reputation in terms of their moral conditions, though nothing has ever actually been fully proven. And again, their, as I said, martial abilities are extraordinary. So this is what you know about them. I'm going to come back to something about all of these groups in just a minute, but that's what you know about these Brothers Cauldron, despite what beyond what I already told Inga about it. So there's that. Now the second group is a group that you actually had not, as I said, no one's heard of this group before, and they are kind of an unusual pairing. So let me show you that on stream. That's Deathstroke and
Ooh, our windows are wacky now.
Scufira. What happened? Oh, did someone
I think our windows are.
someone
weirdly-
drop out?
Did some? I don't know.
Let's
I'm just looking
see.
at the Twitch stream.
Yeah,
Oh,
looks
yeah,
like Terry just dropped
fell
out.
Okay.
All right, bear with us, folks. Terry, I'll be back in just a second. Okay. Let me wait then for this reveal for just a minute. While I'm doing this, actually, it's a good moment to stop and say welcome, everybody, to day 36 of Adventures in Middle-earth, Erebor Adventures, Sleeping Dragon's Lie, as the party gathers together information about the dragon that they are about to fight and deal with. So if you like what you see in here, please make sure to follow the channel and support us in the various ways you can do so. And thank you all for being here today. All right, as soon as Terry comes back... Okay, it says her PC froze, so she should be back in a minute. Okay, we're holding on. Gotta hold on to what we got. All right. So bear with us just a minute while Terry is on the way back, because if I start recapturing, it will immediately all get messed up.
All right, I will also replenish my tea.
Okay. All right, well then as we're doing that, I'm going to take a moment to say hi to Tran, who has returned. Now I'm going to say hi to Tran, who has returned. And Terry is coming back in just a second. Her PC froze, but she'll be right back. And I just introduced everybody again. And so we have, so I gave the one group, so you already saw the Brothers Cauldron. The second group I'm going to show you in just a moment is Deathstroke and Scufira. Or Scufira? No, Scufira, I beg your pardon. Okay. Deathstroke and Scufira. All right. I'm going to block that out for just a second because I want that to be... I want to do the full reveal when Terry shows up. Even Terry's PC is like, no, I'm not going back there. No. I don't want to go to the waste. Okay.
I don't either.
Here's Terry back. Give me just a second. Okay.
Hi.
Terry has returned. Hi.
Yes, sorry about that.
All right.
This is some portrait gore.
It's going to be in just a moment. Okay, I had that fixed. Okay, as soon as Mel gets back, I will show you folks the second group. So we know about the Brothers Cauldron. The second group is Greystroke and Scarfira, who I will show you all in just a moment upon Amal's return.
Yeah, sorry about that, everybody. Apparently my PC froze. And
it's
nothing moved
absolutely
anymore.
your fault. It's a damn good thing you apologize.
Exactly. It's not the PC's fault. It's your doing. Okay.
No, we blame the machines.
All right. Oops. I want to get rid of that and do that. Okay, good. Lovely. All right. Lord Greystroke.
I thought it was
Nope.
Greystoke.
Yes, I think that's right. Yeah, for some reason there's been a lot of like the previous Eberron adventure. Tren and the rest of the party had to deal with Deathstroke, and then a lot of people were like Deathstroke, Deadpool, Deadshot. And I was like, God damn it, just something about Deathstroke, the stroke of dread or dead, or something.
Well, I mean, Deadpool is literally a parody of Deathstroke. So.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's true. Really?
Yes,
I don't think I knew
he
that.
is. He literally is.
No kidding.
That's how he was conceived.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not like some incredible marksman, is he? Like, I mean, he's just a badass fighter and...
No, the marksman thing, that is Deadshot.
Oh,
Different
Deadshot.
character.
Okay. So who the hell's Deathstroke then?
Deathstroke, he is a DC villain who is most well known for being the arch enemy of the Teen Titans.
Ah, yes. Was never a Teen Titans person. Okay.
He was also a main character in the first and I think second season of Arrow, but don't quote me on that.
I only saw
I don't
a couple
remember
of
how
episodes of
long he
Arrow.
was on the show.
Yeah, I only watched a couple episodes of Arrow.
Yeah.
First season was pretty good. Second was all right, and then I lost it.
Yeah, see, like I'm like one of the few people who like thought like the first few seasons were the worst, and like the mid seasons were the best, and then it got terrible again. Because the first few seasons were just Batman, and I'm like, no, Green Arrow is not Batman. He's very decidedly not Batman, and I hate this.
Yeah. It's just another rich dude on an island this time instead of in a mansion or whatever.
Could be
It's like-
worse. It could have been Iron Fist.
Yeah, I did not see that one. So.
Oh man.
No.
Like the thing is just that I'm very invested into Green Arrow in the comics. So like I have like
I
read,
did like
a
Green
large
Arrow in the
chunk of,
comics.
yeah,
I did like Green Arrow in the
and
comics.
he's like
that's true.
nothing like himself
No,
in
it's
the
true.
TV series. That bothers me so much. Well, it used to bother me so much. These
And
days
he's
I
a
don't really
victim.
care.
He's a villain on Batman. No, see, I don't think so, Echo. That I played that Arkham Origins. That's Deadshot. I thought that actually was one of the best boss fights in any of the Batman games. So I'm pretty sure that's
Deadshot
Deadshot.
is a different character.
Yeah, I think that was Deadshot, Echo, not the other one. At least if it is the other one, I don't remember them. I only remember Deadshot as the
Like
boss fight.
Deathstroke has like the black and orange mask, which has one eye, and Deadshot has like a visor thing, and like usually like
Yeah.
We're talking
I'm
about
totally
the other
pretending that
teams
you're
we're
talking
going
about
up.
dragons.
Yeah, sorry, we were
Right,
waiting for
yeah.
you to come back, so we
There's
I wanted to
a
wait on this
dragon
one.
named Deadshot who wears a visor.
Right.
There's
Deadshot.
Occasionally cosplays as Geordie LaForge. Yep.
Yep,
Exactly. Okay. So the second group then that you are that is part of the Hunters group is this, which I've just popped up on stream. This is Greystroke and Scarfira. Now
They're
Greystroke,
both ladies.
Greystroke, who is the
Hey!
human hero that you see behind, is a human hero from lands unknown. She is tall and grim, bitter, and by reputation anyway, fell-handed. And you find out through information given to you by an adventurer that has spent time in her company that she carries an elven great spear called Nameless. And she took it from a troll's treasure hoard, and it's called Nameless because Greystroke can't read elf letters and never lets the spear go so that anyone else can read it. Like, just basically, this is my spear and that's it. She rarely speaks, and so all of this information, a lot of it is taken from her companion, and you can see that one there. That companion is a young dwarf who you do not know, Inga, a young dwarf of the Iron Hills named Scarfira Silvertongue. She is unusual for several reasons. She is a scholar and a poet known for her merriment, and she is one of the very few dwarf women along with another one I happen to know, to defy convention and travel openly. And so this is the one who actually has written, in fact, some of the dragon lore that you discovered may have actually been partially written by Scrifira. So Scrifira is always like, talking it up and having a great time, whereas Greystroke is always like, and, from what everyone
River
can tell.
River is like, elbowing Inga and going, look, it's like if we were reversed.
You said she's known for her merrymaking?
The dwarf, her merriment. Yeah, being always in a very good mood and, always upbeat.
What strikes me amusing is that you say, Inga, you don't know her, but she's known for her merriment. Wait, does she know her or not?
No. You don't know her is what I meant, like from her previous knowledge. This is what you're hearing from the adventurers, that she's always very,
Gotcha.
merry and all that sort of thing. So there's that.
That's a name, though. Like, what was it? Silver Tongue?
Silver Tongue.
Right?
Scrifira Silver Tongue.
Ring a bell,
No,
though?
does not.
Okay.
Does not.
Interesting.
More of an appellation than a family name. It seems
Right.
Like is that like a title or?
Considerably, yeah. No, it may be an appellation that she took upon herself, but there's no information about her own family background. In fact, the only family she admits to having really is Greystroke. Yeah, she's Hobbit famous. Exactly.
This is totally like Xena and Gabby. It's like, yeah.
Oh
exactly.
yeah, right.
100%. I am extremely keen to know whether the people who wrote this are fans from back in the day. Anyway.
So
Cool.
I'm like gonna have to be hey, English is not my first language here. So I googled appellation and that's mountains.
No, sorry,
No.
I knew this was gonna happen. There's the Appalachian Mountains that are written like this, and then there's Appellation, like appellation, which is what I did there. So, yes.
God, I
To
hate
name something.
Appellation, like as what someone is called.
Why do you have so many homonyms in English? I hate
Listen,
it so
this
much.
is Latin. This is not English's fault. This is appellation. So it is a Latinate situation. It's like our,
Fine, blame
Germanic
the
and
French
Latin.
for that one.
Hashtag
Also-
blame.
Yeah.
Hashtag blame Latin.
There you go.
In Britain, appellation means something completely different. Really, Big Boss?
Really?
What does
How many
appellation
L's
mean in
does this
Britain?
thing have?
There's more L's every time.
Well, it's like aluminum. We spell it with one I. And guys British
It's
spell
like
it two.
it's like giraffes. What?
I'm so
Appellation means
confused.
giraffe?
This is becoming more and more confusing the longer we talk about it.
Yeah.
And there also apparently is appellation with 2L, which is then like, wait.
Oh.
Like which
I get it.
It's like
Okay.
a thing from like.
I get what Big Boss
Swiss,
is talking about. Okay. Sorry. I was
legal
very
speech,
confused.
something.
I see
is
what
this
you're
like a
laying.
controlled appellation like cheddar and stuff like that, or
Yeah, I see what you're getting at, Big Boss. This is partially relating to a previous stream and some okay, I get it. I understand.
Inside
I was very
stream
confused.
jokes. Boo-hiss.
Inside stream jokes. Okay, so that's Greystroke and Scrifira. Now, the last one is a person that you all...
what do we? So okay, so nameless spear, and that's all. Everything that we know about Greystroke, we know from Scrifira, who seems fun, and stuff. That's it. Okay, cool.
And then the last one that we have here, don't get me started on half giraffes. Isn't that just a spotted horse?
Which half?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, is this person. And this is Lord Elston, who, again, Tani knows because Robar. I mean, Tani also knows Lord Elston, but Robar was the one who actually battled Lord Elston. This is the first captain of Dale. Now, Elston is widely known in Wilderland, and so that's why I mentioned that all of you, with the possible exception of Bolo, I still think Bolo would even have heard of Elston, but the other three of you have sort of known more detail. He wears shining dwarven armor. That was given to him. And he has a mighty shield, which is known as the Aegis of Dale. It is inlaid with true silver and steel by the dwarves in days of yore, blazoned with the sigil of the river running. This guy is very thoughtful and kind of careful with his words and careful with his fighting style. And he's very much like a hero that just sort of sprang out of a storybook, kind of very much looks the part, is impressive looking, and carries the day a lot through simply his own demeanor. It has to be said that even when Robar was battling him, now he did, it was quite a battle against Robar, but he is not perhaps the hero that he once was. He, may have a tendency to occasionally, sleep during the day in his armor, that type of thing. But who among us has not slept in their armor during the day, at some point? But he is the king's champion. He is highly respected by Bard, and is considered one of sort of the stalwarts, basically, of the Men of Dale. And so, in a way, what you have here is a group of dwarves, a group of humans, and then a combination that have all gone off to do the same thing. Now, that's the news now, the good news. But there is bad news. And that is that as you are gathering, finding out this information as the king has gathered them, you are informed that all three of these groups have already left. Now, the assumption was that they did not want to wait around because they also felt like everything was like speed was of the essence. So they have gone in 3 different directions. It means basically that they have a head start on you. Now, it's not like you're having to I'm trying to win a race. It's just that when any of them arrive, the dragon is obviously going to have his his ire raised, and his paranoia will have been confirmed, and all of a sudden the dragon will be looking around for people. So if you are intending to go in there, not do a frontal assault, but try to figure out a way to, defeat him by other more stealthy or tactical means, then you're going to need to arrive there ahead of them, or it's going to be a situation where they will already have let him know that people are coming or gunning for him when they get there.
I'm curious as to knowing whether they know that there are other groups as well. Do they all know that there are
It's a good
groups?
question, and there's no way to know this for sure. When you
Well, I
ask...
guess
go ahead.
I would ask the king if he told all of the groups that they were one of a few groups.
Right. So and what he tells you is that he had explained that indeed there was more than one group that would be sent on this, but you get the impression that you got more detail about all of the others than they would have received. So they might know that you were one of the groups that he was planning on sending, but they wouldn't know any details beyond your own reputations, which are considerable. I mean, already you have a considerable reputation, but yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So there are your 3 groups of hunters.
Oh, do we
wait,
know...
how many men does Lord Elston have? And,
Elston probably has, commands a division of, probably not very many, maybe 4 or 5 of his soldiers, because again, the idea was not to bring an army. So probably only 4 or 5. The dwarves, that group of dwarves probably is maybe 6, 8 at the most. And as far as you know, Greystroke...
Like with the brother, or like...
Well, one brother, yeah, counting the brother. So,
Okay.
might be 6 or 7, maybe 8 dwarves at most, counting the brother. And Greystroke and Scrafira, you think are just the 2 of them. You don't think there's anyone else with them.
That seems incredibly risky.
Or very smart.
So yeah, so we know which directions they went in? Like, if perhaps we wanted to follow one group in the hope of meeting them and hanging out and making friends with them whilst on the way to kill a dragon?
Let's see. Well, there is one bit of information that you were given, which is that let's see, that there is a dwarf basically that lives in a farmhouse right near basically the intersection. Let me get rid of this for a second. Okay. So basically I'm going to move back to the smaller map. Terry, I know you said you were looking at the big one, but I want to move back to the upper marches here for a second.
I like big maps, and I cannot lie.
These other maps can't deny. All right. So let me see. That would be okay, right. So basically right here. Oh, wait, did I bring you over? I didn't bring you over, did I?
Yeah.
Yes,
I did.
you did.
Okay. So
Can you do that one more time, though? I was too zoomed out.
that's okay. So right here, there is the home of a dwarf named Gynar, Ginar. This is sort of the equivalent of the last homely house, Bolo, Imladris and Rivendell. And you know that dwarf is just sort of a common farmer, in quotes, but the people of the Iron Hills know that he is actually not really just a common farmer, that in previous days he was a warrior of some renown and has retired there, but to that this day provides solace and shelter for those who are coming in his direction, who have been sent on the business that is friendly to the dwarves. So someone like what King Dane would send them. So it's very likely that at least the brothers, the people that I already forgot, the brothers Cauldron, the brothers Cauldron at the very least, and probably Greystroke and Scrofira would have stopped by that last homely house on the way. So that's assuming, they probably would have headed in that direction. And if you go directly northwest from your position, you'll see that you could do all that without actually having to enter the waste, really. So you could basically stay in the northern lands there without having to go into the waste, which would be nice, obviously, as I'm sure none of you are looking forward to the waste. So that might be a place where, in all likelihood, they would go. Of course, they could have gone north into the waste and then northwest, but it's unlikely that anyone would go out of their way to do that. They probably would have gone straight northwest in that direction. So that's your best lead in terms of where they might end up.
Okay.
Do we have any clue if one of them would be the spy?
There's no way of knowing that at all.
No. Like, how would they even stay in contact with Raynar, is what I'm wondering.
Oh.
Do we have any clue how they would do that?
Well, there are,
Volunteers, but, we don't know about those.
Yes, did I mention that?
I figure that, once we're talking fell enchantments of the kind that can rekindle, fire in dragons that don't usually have it and stuff like that, then we probably are talking weird enchantments that can do that. Also, just the whole, I am not a person, I am an evil spirit animating a body. I don't know that the regular means of spycraft are necessarily in play. But it's a good question in terms of we should just be on our guard. This cat looks very hungry for your flesh, specifically.
Yeah.
Lorelei!
Ow!
Oh, Lorelei! This bad girl! Bad!
Yeah, hey, Lorelei, don't do that.
Oh, she's so overstimulated. Devin does this sometimes,
What's
too.
to play now?
Yeah, he's like, give me attention and affection at the same time. I need to eat you.
Okay, Dewey.
Oh, no.
Aren't cat bites really bad? Like cause all kinds of problems?
If she actually bites you and breaks the skin, you need to go to the hospital. Like, just FYI.
Nah, it's fine.
No,
no,
like,
not
though.
fine. I don't even own
fine.
cats, and I'm pretty sure that's not fine.
It's because their cat bites, as opposed to their scratches, are necrotic. Like they like
2d20 necrotic damage is what we're saying.
Yeah, I am super I know a person who was like, yeah, no, it's fine. I'm just gonna ignore it. And within 24 hours, her hand was turning black. Like, just so you know, cat
Why have
bites
I literally never heard of this?
You've never heard of this? No, they're
I have
not.
never heard of this, and I had cats all my life. Like,
How often
outdoor
did they
cats
bite
too.
you?
Like, all the fucking time?
like bite you and broke the skin and
Yeah.
sank their teeth into your blood? Well,
Yeah, like one of them was like particularly
So don't feel too bad about it. I was a vet tech for several years. I've never heard of this.
Really?
Really?
Okay.
Oh man, I had the same experience of having
Like
a
the
friend who
one
had to go to
thing
the
that
hospital
like I
because
know
of a cat
about is
bite.
like tetanus, and like yeah, okay, just I'm vaccinated against that.
Well, I mean,
It-
I don't
And,
know.
like I guess rabies. I don't know where my cat would get rabies.
Well,
since
no,
she's
I don't.
just
I mean,
outside,
I can,
but not
Yeah,
like there's
that's fair.
foxes in the area.
Anyway,
No,
I
like
mean,
what?
you know.
Necrot? That is like. That sounds like an urban myth.
This is
It
not a
sounds fake.
situation of like a friend of a friend or whatever. Like no,
Yeah.
like
same.
the
Yeah, same.
but
That
but
sounds
you know,
more.
it has never happened to me either. I have also had cats my whole life, but the cats have not bitten me my whole life, so I don't actually. Yeah. I'm sure that if you I mean, what they will do for you at the hospital is give you antibiotics and stuff. If you have antibiotic ointments and things and use them on the regular, you're probably fine. But just so you know,
Yeah. Just keep
I
that
don't
in
want your
mind.
hand to turn black. Are you like googling this?
This will be the one time too that we finally told her, and this is when it's all going to happen. It's like before it would have been fine. Okay, so but on we go. So the thing that I want to mention in terms of the mechanical aspect of this dragon hunt is that this is actually its own sort of mechanical thing. And so the way this works is like this. The hunt score is going to measure the awareness that this dragon, whatever it may be, has of the heroes and of their journey to you. And so as the companions leave the land, basically leave the Iron Hills to head west, the hunt score is going to start at the highest proficiency bonus of the company. So I believe that's four, I think. And then +0 for each hobbit, so you're all good there. +1 for each man of any kind, so that means river, so 1, so 5.
Wait a second.
+2 for each dwarf,
Ah, yes.
that's 7, and +1 for each legendary weapon or armor.
Ooh.
Now,
Wait, what exactly classifies as legendary? Per
well,
spell rules?
I would say that a weapon that has been used to strike flames of terror or I guess gleam of terror and flames of hope would probably be pretty damn legendary. So I would say that adds +2, 1 for Inga and 1 for the river. So that means that what we're
Don't
looking
I
at...
have like special armor? Let me double check.
And what about
I had like
Tawny's
something cool.
his new staff, given to him by Beorn?
What
No,
about
that's
what
different
about
because the dragon does not have a lot of knowledge of the Bjornings other than the
Oh, okay.
experience, so that's
Okay.
fortunately for you. This is more about the dwarves and the gnomes.
Yeah,
I
I
think
was just going to say,
Flank
I would
Seer is
contend
like-
that
You're right.
Flank Seer
Plus
has reached
15.
legendary
I
status.
love that the group is actually arguing for more knowledge. They're like, wait a minute. All right, now listen.
I don't want
This
the
guy
dragon.
wants it. No,
Listen, I just am living for the moment that we waltz into this dragon's lair.
I
and
love
it's
it. No, I love it.
like,
No,
hear
I
you've
think
brought
that's good.
Flank
So
Seerer with you.
we're
And
looking
it's
at a
like-
+9 right here. So we've got a score of 9 to begin with.
Out of how high does it go?
Well, so that's what I was about to get to. So every day that passes from the point that you leave is going to be +1. So the dragon hunt score will go up by +1 for every day that passes. It will also go up by +1 when a hero rolls a natural 1 on an ability check.
Oh boy.
Now, other events will also increase the hunt score. That depends on the individual encounters that you have. And also, if you are engaged in very obvious, and I don't think this group would do this, but just in case, behavior, like if Bolo's like, guess who's going to take out a dragon thanks to King Date, like if you do stuff like that, that obviously could attract information.
Ooh,
Now, the good
what?
news is that...
Okay, but about that,
Yeah.
like there's this like one famous German book that they made us read in school called Biedermann und die Brandstifter, which is like basically about a bunch of arsonists who just like talk openly about committing arsony,
Right,
and nobody buys it. They're like, yeah, why would anybody like,
right.
and like in the end they like get like the main character like to like help them set his own house on fire,
Were I speaking to the
Yeah.
Inga who had just arrived at Lake Town and had just met this guy called Tawny, I might be more inclined to believe this. Now that I am speaking to a level 9 hero, and let me quote the title, Thane Inga Homefighter, Daughter of Ida, Council of King Dane II, I think they're going to buy it coming from you.
Oh.
God,
So-
I forgot that we're level 9. I totally managed somehow to forget this.
Yeah,
This is
you are.
amazing. We're
So-
so cool.
So +9. Now, the last thing I want to mention here is that when the hunt score increases, that's not now, but like starting from this point forward, when it increases, you have to make a dragon awareness check. And when the dragon awareness check fails, in other words, when you don't succeed in it, the dragon goes hunting. And that's when you're going to have to deal with these hunt episodes. So, so that's why, and a reason I'm going through all this is because I think this mechanic is insanely cool, and I'm super excited about it.
That is
so,
an amazing mechanic. Is there's nothing that like works against the score? There's no like stealth taking or something like that.
So there are two things that can affect it. The first is that you have also an ability to have a veil score, and I will explain the veil in a minute, which may reduce this initial amount. The second is that after a hunt episode, and there are multiple of these hunt episodes, when there is a hunt episode, if you manage to survive it, then the dragon will assume that it is dealt with you, and the hunt score will reset to its starting value. So you start with 9, right? And it's going to go up. But after an episode, it resets to 9. However, every time it hunts, its flames get hotter. So in other words, its paranoia increases. So every time this gets worse. So the key is to keep it from hunting as much as you possibly can. You can, however, gain valuable information about the dragon when it hunts. So it's not all bad. But mostly you don't want the dragon hunting. So the question is, how much will this veil affect your initial score? Because a lot is based on, it's like base salary. You always want your base salary, chat, to be increased as opposed to bonuses, because base salary is what everything else is played off of. Same deal with this. You want your base modifier to be low. So your initial modifier, this veil that I was talking about, looks like this. Also, I should mention that shadow points and everything don't like correspond to this. So like shadow does its own thing, but it's not corresponding to this per se. So the veil score can basically mask the heroes from the sign of the dragon. And it's a measure of how discreet the heroes are being. I do want to call out Cubicle 7 for misspelling discreet not once but twice. DISCRETE is not the same thing as DISCREET. Anyway, the company is traveling through free or borderlands. Now, that'll be the case for as long as you're in that green area there. That will give you a modifier of +2. So as you start out, wait a minute. Yes, right, that's right, +2. So that means you would start with 7 instead of 9 because of that. If you are protected by the blessing of a wizard or other powerful lore master character. Now, you do have patrons of Radagast, but you don't have like that blessing at the moment. It's not like a forever he's doing this. You'd have to go ask him for that, and that obviously is going to take a long time, so you probably are not in a position to do that. That would have been +4. If the company wishes to try to travel under false names, maybe Bolo can use some of his contacts to do something like this, you could reduce the modifier, you could reduce the number further by another 2. The fact that the companions have earned great renown in the area, though, would work against you, but I've already taken that into account in this initial sort of assumption. So basically what we're looking at is a 7, assuming you do nothing other than just travel through the green land. But if you want to do the false names thing, you could drop that modifier further to 5. So
it occurs to me that we can also, just to make things like super fun and easy for the DM, we could also split the party. And because I mean part of our notoriety is the fact that our party is so
number of
diverse.
Yeah. You never split the party.
But yeah, so, and it also occurs to me that there's a kind of inherent misdirection in, like, we know one party is a human woman and a female dwarf, and I think that if we were, traveling like that, that would be further potential misdirection. That is like what we
Big
are.
Boss is horrified by this suggestion. It's like, split the party when a dragon's around? What?
I think split the so what I would suggest is, if we were going to do this, it would be to split the party until we like convene at Gainar's house, essentially, and reconvene there potentially. But I have to sneeze. Sorry.
But yeah, like I said, like we don't have to actually hide while we travel to the Erebor. Just saying.
Well,
because like there's nothing suspicious about Inge going there. It was like wildly announced, hey, I need to go to the Iron Hills to like talk to the steward whose sons I sent to their death.
Sure, but I think that once we come back, I mean, I don't know. I think that given the way that the mechanic is, I think that is a potential thing. But the other thing is that we could therefore, I think, each sort of reduce. I mean, that means that this is not an even split of the party according to like that 9 points and stuff like that. But I mean, if we were separate, then our total for Inga and the river would be weapon, 1, 2 for Inga, 1 for river as a human, right? And
right.
then,
So the only
but-
problem with that, though, is what Jay just said in chat, which is that you could certainly do this, but that means that theoretically there are 2 potential groups that could make the dragon aware of them, right? So, in other words, it could theoretically affect both of you in the end. So you're right, like it's a lower score, but it's twice as much of a chance for the dragon to become aware of you.
That's fair. I just really like the idea of being potentially confused with the
Hey, I'm good with it. I mean, listen, I'm all about it. Sign me up.
But also, the other thing to think about is like whatever. Like I'm also sort of trying to anticipate the dragon scores of the other parties, right? Like the Brothers Cauldron, if there are 6 to 8 dwarves, are much higher, presumably, on that ranking than we are, right? They'll be more like at least a 12 to 16, I guess.
Might be, but don't undersell your own reputations, though. I mean,
No,
you folks are, strictly by numbers. Theoretically, that could be the case. Yes.
I'm also looking at Lord Elston and thinking similarly. What I'm wondering is if we're thinking about like the dragon getting more dangerous after every hunt, then there are 2 other parties that can potentially provoke the hunt, right? Or are you not tracking them?
No, that doesn't. I don't. Those are dealing with their own problems, and in fact, you may find that the hunt itself will have an impact on them. So so in other words, yes, they are subject to the hunt, but not your score. They have their own problems to worry about. Now, I do want to know.
This is what I'm wondering. It's just like, are you tracking like?
I am not, but the adventure is tracking them basically.
Okay.
Like there are stages where more information will come out about them depending on what they do. So yes, cool. in a sort of general sense, I am tracking. I should also say this is another one of the reasons I really like this section is that this is another balancing thing because before Terry, you said, or English, I should say, you said that that Greystroke and Skurfira going off on their own was like, I don't know about that, and Tani was like, or it's a great idea. And the reason is that you're both right. The theory of the Brothers Cauldron, you would assume, is, okay, we get 8 strong dwarves and we go, take out this dragon, right? The theory of Greystroke and Skulfira is we are not likely to attract its attention if we are these random people that not a lot of people know about and we're just going off on our own. So there is the balancing act. If you have the party split, you're much less effective as, 2 and 2 as you would be 4, but you also might attract less attention. So you have to balance those things out against each other.
So the only thing I want to be clear on is like the rating that we have and stuff. All I want to know is like we're only going to be subject to a hunt if we fail our own roll. It's not like our hunt is going to happen if the NPCs fail.
That's correct. They will have failed their hunt and then they got their problems, but you will not have to worry about it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's interesting.
So I guess the question is, I'm sorry. Before we do that, let's talk about the title and about Inga's question for Dane. So, yes, so you are given a title, River. You are given this idea of, first of all, you are, like Tawny Bear, you are named as a dwarf friend. But you were also given another name, and according to Dane, this is something which he had spoken about with several, including a certain gray-cloaked person who might have talked to him about this, and wishes to give you the title of let me find where I put the note because I was very proud of myself. Let's see.
There's a 6th spelling of Thane.
No, it's the 5th spelling of discreet. No, it's yes. So it is Thane River. It's not Thane the River because it seems a little odd. So
it hurts my eyes, Amal. Thanks. Put that in like the proper chat, like the Twitch chat.
So it is Thane River, and it is music wielder.
I love it so much.
Thane River Music Wielder.
Like. Oh, I love it. Oh, I love it so much.
Thane
That's so
River
cool.
Music Wielder. That's it. And you're also, in the process of this, I should say, you're also given something else. You are given this thing, the Thane River.
Oh no, that's like if Ash were in the
Thing,
picture, that would be our ship name. It'd
Yes,
just be
exactly.
like,
So
Thing.
Thane River Music Wielder, and you were also given in the process of this a small pin, River, and it is a pin that is essentially a pin of what looks like a harp. And this item, this pin, they say is something which, if you use it, may give you some light in the darkness. It actually feels warm. It was forged in not just for you. It was actually an artifact of some history, and it is something which was forged and so will perpetually stay warm, so that even in the moments of greatest darkness, this may bring you some light. And the effect of this is once per adventure. I emphasize once per adventure. When you are given a shadow point gain, this will prevent you from taking 1 point of shadow. So if you would take normally a point of shadow, this will prevent you from that. Once only per adventure.
Once per adventure. I am putting it here. She will absolutely use it to pin her cloak, which was embroidered by Kilda.
And please remind me if I give you a shadow point, you're like, but this, and I'm like, what?
Does the pin have a name?
No, they said that the name is intended. It's been lost to history, and the way that it's described to you is that you are the one who are supposed to name it based on what you think right.
I know you and I, Amal, have talked about the song, "The Bonnie Swans."
Yes.
And I'm immediately like, the line, he made harp pins of her fingers fair.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a harp pin. Oh no.
Oh yeah. I don't think this is made of bone,
No,
but
probably.
yes, absolutely. Oh, I love that. So, oh gosh. Oh man.
So
I love it.
that is your title, the Thane River Music Wielder Woodman Warden, which means we now have Thane Inga, Thane Tawny Bear, Thane River, and Bolo. So eventually, I expect Bolo is going to become Thane something, like Thane of the battered mug. With a Thane flanks here.
This makes me so happy. I think
Thane
I
of
actually
Purple
have a
Pepper.
harp pin.
That's
somewhere.
right, but it also kind of fits, right? Because even in the moments of greatest, Frodo and the hobbits are there with all of these people with their, even Bilbo with all their titles, and then there's Bilbo, and he's like highly respected, but he still stays Bilbo. Anyway, so that is the title, River, that you received. Now, Inga, you had a question for the king.
Yeah, she would basically afterwards seek out the king.
Okay.
Once everything else is like done and dealt with.
Yes.
Approaches him and goes, Your Majesty, I would like to talk to you about the armor that we have retrieved from the waste.
And he nods and he says, we're most grateful that you were able to discover it and resolve the problem between men and dwarves. What would you speak of, Thane Inga?
First of all, thank you for your kind words. The thing is that in our mission to go retrieve this armor, people have fallen, including the sons of Karna Stonemason, who lives here at the Iron Hills.
And he nods seriously.
I wanted to ask your permission to grant this armor to Karna Stonemason.
And he sort of leans back a little bit and he says, that's a great gift. May I ask why you decided that, above all else, they should receive that armor?
Because he lost his two sons
But
in order to retrieve this armor. And I think this is the least we can do
he says,
to make it up to him.
He says, I hear your words, but many dwarves, you must know, sacrificed themselves over the years. Those to make that armor, to find it, to bring it to the kings of the time. And if I were to look back historical claims, there'd be many who could claim that armor. Is there a reason you're choosing these above all else when all the others might have a claim? And you see his eyes kind of narrow, and you don't get the impression that he's angry. You get an impression that he's kind of like sizing up your answer.
Yeah. Oh, yes, of course. Like, the thing is, this was like several sessions
So
ago.
you
So,
say,
like,
yeah.
I have to like retrace my thought
Right.
here. Thought. Yeah, th and s in one word is not good for the German tongue. But yeah, she goes. It's because it was partially my job to go retrieve this armor, and one of his sons was a member of my clan.
And he nods and he says, so in a way, you feel personally responsible for this.
I absolutely do.
And he sort of leans back again and strokes his beard thoughtfully, and he says, it appears to me, Thaininga, that your wisdom, since leaving the Iron Hills and spending your time and much of your energy and effort with your friends, has provided you with more wisdom than others might have suspected. Yes, you may do this. Moreover, you have my thanks. You've made sense of a senseless situation. There's one thing more. When you go off with your party to deal with this situation with the dragon after you've given the armor to Canner, I want you to be especially careful, Inga. It's true that those people you're with are heroes, and I imagine you could trust them with your lives. But you're the only dwarf, Inga, and you know what this means to our people more than even they will. And you know how much the hearts of dwarves have been corrupted in the past, from looking after things they shouldn't have, and believing that things were more important than friends. You've escaped that fate, but not all of my people have. Take care, and don't forget. He seems, by the way, at this point, sort of leaning forward to have kind of dropped for just a moment the mantle of kingship. This feels very much like a kind of personal, like, here's something that happened to me type of thing.
Yeah, Inga like bows down very, very deeply. And when she gets back up again, with like one hand on her chest, he goes, I can't possibly thank you enough for this, my king.
And he nods and he says, then thank me by staying alive, helping your friends, and by doing what you can to bring down that dragon.
I will.
And as you head off to prepare with your friends to leave and depart for this dragon, I would say that we cut to the sight of a raven flying from the tower. The raven circles around and flies up through the land and down, and you see rivers and mountains and hills below it falling away as it flies, and then you see it sort of dive down and pass over through the course of its travel 3 groups. One is a tall, proud man on a horse with several soldiers with him as he moves on at a slow trot, heading ever west and north towards the waste. The second, 2 people, one tall, one shorter, one carrying a spear, as they make their tireless way through the landscape. And the last, a group of 8 dwarves. And as the raven passes overhead and gives out a call, one of those dwarves looks up. An ill omen, to be sure. And lowers his head. And that's where we bring our session to a close. So, I am so excited for you folks to do this. The hunt thing is so cool. I was just like, yes, I cannot wait for all of this to happen. And I am not foreshadowing bumping off Inga. What? Listen, I'm not. Seriously? So be aware you won't make it through this next episode. No, I'm not going to do that. Jeez. What the heck? That's totally based on...
I'm sorry to see you going.
I'm sorry we'll never speak again. No, that's... No. I'm just the messenger. But no, it's based on...
Do you have any messages for your loved ones you want to leave behind?
Exactly.
Before you go?
Any other information you need to know? No, I'm very, very excited to see how this party handles things going forward. And it means that our next session, I know there was a lot of planning, but our next session, a lot of this is all going to come to fruition. And we got 3 groups that you've got to deal with, and you don't know what the deal is with that. I also I know we just ended it, but I just do want to say one of the things I want the group to think about until our next session is whether, you could theoretically just go straight northwest. Like you could be like, the hell with the dwarf and the homely house and the farmhouse, whatever. I'm just going to go northwest straight. That would give you speed, but then you got to go directly through the waste, and obviously no one wants that. So that's something to think about. You may also figure going to the west to your, quote, last lead would give you some information about the hero groups, assuming any of them stop at that farmhouse. So, yeah. So that's up to you folks to think about, but I'm super pumped to see how people handle things. So I will, I switched over to my cams only, and all of a sudden I'm looking down. I'm like, suddenly Brad is the river. I'm like, that's not true. Brad is not. Brad is not.
Oh, I'm Inga
is
now.
not the river, and you are not Inga, and you are not
I'm
Bolo.
totally a hobbit. I'm just
100%.
half my size.
I love
There
that
we go.
Tawny stayed Tawny. He just anchored.
Tawny always stays Tawny.
This is like just he succeeded in some wisdom role that didn't,
Exactly.
Oh my god, this must be like great. Okay, Arf, take note. Like for a different game, this obviously does not fit this campaign, but like in any other campaign, you might be putting that in there, like a Freaky Friday situation, where like players, characters end up in other player characters' bodies, and then you actually switch around the camera.
No, I see it all. It's all alternate universe stuff.
My favorite actual play podcast just did this. Literally, they just did this on Rude Tales of Magic.
Really?
It was incredible. They had to like pass around each other's sheets and like play inhabiting each other's bodies, and it was like
That is pretty cool,
That's
actually.
amazing.
There's the thought of having at the end of my Icarus Kickstarter that we did with Athos a couple of years ago, the final thing, and I think you were part of that, Terry. I think you played with me for part of that, was where we had the players. There were a certain set of characters, and every time we hit a certain number, the game system switched, but the characters remained the same. They were just sort of transformed into like characters that would be like the mechanically the characters of that new system. So it was like Tales from the Loop, and then you went through the rabbit.
That's the one where I like played the druid, the hippie druid.
Yes, and there was like switched into a dragon. There was a bunch of them. Anyway, it's not quite the same thing as each player changing characters, but it reminded me a lot of like having to change sort of the dynamic of where each one was. That was a lot of fun, and I'm hoping we can do that again at some point. It's like the genre knots, right, Arudinel? Yeah. So anyway, Amal, I will start with you. Again, really good stuff from the river. I was excited that you were able to get at long last your title, and that you had stuff to think about regarding what's going to happen with this dragon. There was not a chance to do a lot of individual character work from anybody today because everything was sort of prepping for what's about to happen next. But you will get all of that in spades during the next session now that you've set this stuff up. And so we'll be curious to see how all that gets managed and how the music wielder proceeds to use her pin and all the other things she has for good. How'd you feel about today? Where will the fight switch next?
Yeah. So I loved it. I feel more. How can I put this? I was gonna say less trepidatious. No, I'm still very trepidatious, but I'm also excited about this. No, I think I have a name I want to give the pin.
Ooh.
I think the name. I think the
What's the
pin
name?
will be called Kalar, like this, which is the Sindarin word for lamp or light.
Lamp.
A portable, yes. And I just like that idea
Nice.
that there's like a kind of like she'll wear the pin like this, like close to her heart and stuff, and it'll pin her cloak that is very special to her also, and
What was the name again?
remind her to have a light in the dark, and that music can be a light in the dark also.
It was a
Calar.
Yeah, Calar. Calar.
Yeah.
I love that. That's good stuff.
And yeah, what was I gonna say? Oh, but people can find me. So anyway, I loved this. I really loved just like King Dine. I loved the bit with Inga at the very end. It was a very Inga thing to do, and I think that's really cool. I liked learning all the cool dragon stuff. I think that's delightful. And I'm very excited about it. I really, really hope we come across Greystroke and Scrafira Silvertongue and become friends with them. I know that probably will happen. I want to be their friend. I think it would be very cool. We could be like, look.
You don't want to be friends with the Dwarf Mercenary Company? I don't understand. Like,
Yeah. I'm sure
Of
they're
course,
fine.
now we are going to find them, and they'll be the exact opposite of what you hope they will be.
Yeah.
Or will crush your dreams of befriending them.
I'm
Never get to
totally
know
setting
your hero.
myself up for that 100%. But in terms of where people can find me next, I do actually want to say that if people are interested, I am going to be in conversation with E. Lily Yu, who is an absolutely amazing writer who wrote one of my favorite books that I read in, oh God, was it last year? Was it last? I can't. Who knows? She wrote a book called On Fragile Waves that was absolutely phenomenal. That changed my life. That was just devastatingly beautiful. So she and I are going to be chatting tonight at 7 p.m. under the auspices of the New York Science Fiction NERSIF, New York Review of Science Fiction. That's the one. And I have a link for it. I think you just tune in through YouTube, basically. So that link, which I will pull up presently, is over here. Give me the link.
A little ferocious monster came
here we
back.
go. So if you this will probably go live at about 6:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. Where did my chat go? Here we go. So it is this link. So if you just tune in at about 7, we'll be getting started then. And she's just an absolutely wonderful person. And she's, one of the genius people who is never on the internet or social media because she is brilliant and knows how to do that. So, yep, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. So yeah, so if anyone's interested in tuning in to hear us talk about stuff, it won't just be about the book. We're probably going to talk about murder ballads and birds and other stuff. Then that would be really cool. It would be lovely to see you there. Yeah, that's me. Other than that, what else? Stuff? No, that's probably it for me.
Good stuff. Thank you, Mel. And yes, that's right, Echo. It's after the Talisman Adventures thing tonight, so you can watch Talisman Adventures and then just tune in immediately to that conversation, which will be introduced, I assume, by Jim Freund, who's kind of a legend in the industry. I was on Hour of the Wolf myself twice, and like everyone on the free earth has been either in NERSIF or through Hour of the Wolf. So for a long, long time. So anyway, that's cool. Yeah, definitely. I might try to check that out myself if I can. Thank you, Mel. Good stuff.
Painting your cat. Tari,
Yes.
are you like? I love that you're just painting the colors onto Lorelei.
Yes, I am.
Amazing.
So I should therefore ask, while painting that cat, Terry, obviously that was a very nice moment. I agree with King Dane at the end. A lot of really nice sort of moments associated with that I think really fit. And then also the fact that there is some, as we've talked about from the very beginning, some unique pressure on Inga here in that, there's a lot riding on sort of the dwarven approach to this, and in King Dane's case, making it clear that it's not just do this for the dwarves, but it's kind of the opposite. Like, we know what dwarves do, and like the dwarves have too often been led down the wrong paths. Basically, a lot of the same fears that Inga herself has had, I think, that King Dane has sort of said, like, yeah, and you've got to help fix it. It's like, well, great, with all this. But it was nice to see that, and we will see what happens with the dragon hunt that the dwarf Inga is about to go on. So how did you feel about the session today, Terry, and where will the fun folks find you next?
Well, like the past few days, I've been feeling like hot fucking garbage, and I was like so close to canceling for today. I was like, yeah, no, I'm probably gonna really enjoy the game, even though I really don't want to play right now. It's like, when you want to go, like when you have to take a shower, and you really dread taking a shower, but then you get into the shower and you really never want to leave it again.
Right.
That was kind of like today, basically, and like, yeah, I like immensely enjoyed this. So yeah, though, like the thing where I had to like say in character, "Thank you, my king." I was like, I hate monarchy. I hate monarchy so much. Like my inner, what do you call that in English? Like in German, we call that linksgrüne Zecke, like left green tick. I guess like the insect.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's a thing. So yeah, I'm just like too socialist for that, I suppose.
Your
I
inner
guess, I'm not
socialist
sure.
objected.
I might be misusing terminology here, but you get the drift.
Right.
But yeah, I still haven't like gotten accustomed to now living in a monarchy yet, because I'm come from a democratic republic. Now I have a fucking king. It's weird.
Wait,
How do countries still have kings?
I mean, but there's
weird.
no
Weird.
power
Weird.
though.
Weird.
I mean, it's a king with no power
Well,
though. I mean,
Well, I mean, probably in theory, it's like the whole thing. Yeah, like technically they could like overrule parliament or whatever. It's like they just never do that, because they know that they would get dethroned immediately.
right, exactly.
But yeah, anyway, yeah, this was immensely fun, and I'm so glad I finally got to do this thing with like talk about this with the king.
Yes.
And why did my camera decide to go out of focus?
I don't know.
You leaned in and then you leaned back out again.
There.
Because underneath the camera is Lorelei going like this with her paw.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
it's
that
just
was probably it.
Damn it.
That was manually adjust for you, human.
But yeah, and I'm really glad this worked out actually, because I'm not like the smartest person in the shed. So yes, totally a real thing. So like me coming up with like reasons in character as to, or like explain my reasoning. That's like my problem, I suppose, in character.
Made sense
Like,
to me.
I was like, yeah, I decided like literally half a year ago that I wanted to give this armor. No, I don't fucking remember.
Because
Because yeah, basically. So yeah, that was good. Yeah, people can find me here on various Tuesdays. Same bed time, same bed channel. For either this or drawing live streams, where we play choose your own adventure books, where y'all get to vote on what we do. Like you all play the protagonist together basically, and I have to draw whatever shenanigans you guys concoct.
it's
So,
awesome. Hopefully we'll be able to do that next Tuesday if all goes well. Hopefully. We'll see how everyone's feeling and stuff. But
Shall see.
yeah.
So yeah, and people can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at TariToons.
Awesome. Thank you, Terry.
where I
Great stuff
post
today,
art
and
shit.
I'm glad that you did decide to play anyway. I'm glad that you took the shower.
Yes.
So to speak. But thank you, Terry. Always a pleasure. Brad, I know that, I did feel bad as we were going through a little bit because Bolo had very little chance to be able to do stuff. A lot of it was just sort of sitting and observing, and that was just kind of the context of how things were happening. That will obviously not be the case as you go forth in this next session. But you did have a session, I guess, last time where there was a fair amount of just Bolo and Tani. So this stuff goes back and forth, but this was one where it was just sort of like getting ready to fight a dragon and like what's involved with that. So, but I am looking forward to seeing how Bolo manages this in particular, because again, Bolo's the only one who has not seen a dragon of any kind, right? Has heard about them, but has never actually dealt with one. And so I'm very curious to see how Bolo kind of sets up for that as time goes on. How did you feel about today's session? Where will the fine folks find you next?
Yeah, it was fun. This touches a little bit on like what Bolo might have pictured when he first, sort of went on the road, right? And thinking about not maybe a specific treasure, although there was one he was interested in initially, but thinking about coming across a dragon's hoard, what might be in it, that kind of thing. But I like this in particular because, gaming and storytelling are very closely related arts, right? And when I'm crafting story, I think a lot about payoffs. Certain turning points in the story, the climax of the story, whatever. Payoffs only work if you have the proper setup. And so our our payoff is going to be meeting this dragon at some point, but the setup that we're going through now is going to make that much more impactful and interesting. And so this is like vital to me. I think in the hands of a lesser GM, we would find ourselves suddenly at the base of the lair, heading in, instead of spending time and thinking about these other people that are going after the dragons themselves, and how we're going to approach this and stuff. All these things kind of help build the anticipation. And so from that perspective, I really loved this session, because it's going to help with the payoff in like the next one or two, sessions that we have. And so I really enjoyed this kind of thing, even though I didn't do a whole lot. It's Bolo is taking part in this and absorbing, and it's going to affect him as time goes on. So
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really fun in my opinion. I don't have much coming up. I'm working hard on in the middle of drafting a book at this point, but you can find me at quillings.com, which has some of my social links, and you can follow me on there if you want. And otherwise, I'll be back here eagerly waiting to get started on the dragon hunting adventure.
Dragon hunting, which is going to be a good time. And again, for those of you who missed at the beginning, you will see Brad at Gen Con in August. And again, we will talk more about that when time comes closer. But always a pleasure, Brad. Thank you. Good stuff today. And Tren, also similar as what I said to Brad, which is that, Tani was slightly back, in the background for this one for the same reasons, and was focused on what everyone else was doing. Although, is also having dealt with the dragon, a dragon before, that continues to be part of the concern. And also these other figures, these other hunters, and who they are and what the potentials are, insofar as it's hard to tell sometimes what's going on with this larger conspiracy issue and who might be involved or not. And so that, I'm sure, is on Tani's mind. But it was interesting too that both Tani and Bolo come at it from the position of having felt like, they had this time the Shire, they're thinking about Bill, but, they had that stuff that's still in their memory, I imagine, while they're dealing with, now we're about to go back into the crap with the waste and the stuff. And so that's kind of in the back of everyone's mind also. So I'm curious to see how Tani's going to handle things, especially from a healing point of view. And as you said, figuring out stuff to bolster your spirits. And don't let me forget next session when we start that I want to make sure that we address that just before you folks leave about the bolstering the spirit thing. With lots of crom, tons of crom. No. How did you feel about today's session? Where will the fine folks find you next?
First of all, Arudinel, go to bed. All right, you've already said like 3 times, nope, that's it for me. I'm going to go to bed. Anyway, because I'm as soon as we're done here, I'm gonna be right there. Just I'm gone. I really liked today. I thought it was fun. I just delighted to see the River get her second ship. It's great. I think Stone probably deserves one too. And Illiman and Freki.
They already have title. Stone is a title of very good boy, so there's already that. But
And Dillamant is the MVP, the most valuable
pony. That's right. So it's all true.
I sit corrected then. Yeah, I think I've already figured out part of what we're gonna need for the spirit embolsterment. I'm sure that's a word. It's probably spelled differently than embolsterment, because like discreet and this crete and that crete and crete. Anyway, yeah, where will people see and or hear me next? Probably here for seeing. Where will people hear me next? I'm editing Rock of the Republic, the next Battletech audiobook that I'll probably finish in the next couple of days. I have to, because I have to turn it in on the 1st, so I really should finish editing it before then. But then after that, there's more Battletech audiobook goodness for me, and I'm sure at some point the folks over at the Escape Artist will say, hey, will you narrate this short story for us? But I don't know what that's going to be yet. Aside from that, yeah, I'll be here.
It's good stuff. And of course, you will also hear Tren in another context when the Gray Shade Kickstarter goes live not that long from now, because Tren will be involved with the audio production of the audiobook of that as well. But this was great stuff. I am looking forward to our sessions so much next month, and I am very happy to have this wonderful group of experienced and gifted and generous players to join me on these adventures twice a month. And chat, I hope you feel that way as well. Can we get some love for the amazing players, and thanks to my wonderful players and friends, Trendane Sparks, Brad Bollier, Terry Toons, and Amal Elmatar. Thank you, everybody. Good stuff, folks. I will see you folks next month.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now.
Arrivederci.
All right. Good stuff, folks. I'm really, really, a dragon hunt. Like, what better to get to blood pumping, your blood pumping than a dragon hunt, right? A good dragon hunt. I'm sure everything will go just fine. And it is actually going to be setting us up for something pretty, I think, powerful as this group goes forward. If all goes well, maybe they do this. They make 2 sessions. They make 2 sessions of progress. Maybe we get lucky, and during ArvCon, that might be the time they actually encounter the dragon. Hey, we can, a guy can dream, right? Maybe I'll have a chance to do that. We will see. But in any case, it was a great pleasure to have them with us. As far as we are concerned here, that's going to be the last stream on this channel for the month, but it is not going to be the last stream overall, because at 4:15 p.m. Eastern, so in just about 40 minutes, I think, we will be going live over on GOG.com's Twitch channel with Pen and Pixels, and with our next session of Talisman Adventures, sponsored by Pegasus Spiele. Very excited for that, as well as we continue the adventure The Briar Rose. So you'll definitely want to be here for that. It's going to be the second session for Undeveloped Bruce, who is our newest player over there, joining Pyron J, Darksaber 2K, and Peripheral Mike. So definitely come over and stop by for that. That'll be happening again 4:15 p.m. Eastern. And then we will be done here until Friday. This will actually be wrapping up, let me think, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, because we had Tuesday, 5 straight days of content will be wrapped up this evening over on GOG.com, and then we'll be again out Wednesday and Thursday, and on Friday we'll be back Friday, April 1st, probably with Gran Turismo 7 is my guess. I'm going to be setting up the schedule, but we're going to have a lot of stuff going on in April. Esper Genesis sessions, Adventures Middle Earth sessions, obviously D&D with GOG and Talisman Adventures. We will have Eberron going on, coming at you. We will have the D&D with viewers session next month of finishing up Legacy of Dragonholtz. That's going to be a good time. So we're plus more Bag of Giving, plus more Speculate, and more Soundclash. So lots of tabletop role-playing to come over the next month. It's going to be awesome. But that's going to do it from me. If you liked what you saw and heard today, please make sure to follow the channel. Check out our YouTube with !ArvTube, Discord with !ArvCord, Twitter with !ArvTweets, website, arvaneleron.com, and financially, !ArvShop is the merchandise area, !ArvTrayon is the Patreon. Please support us there, and please, again, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to me over on YouTube. Really trying to get that up to 1,000 subscribers. We're up to 818 as of this morning. It's free for you to do that, but it really helps us out, so please consider going over there and giving us a sub to find out more information and to get more stuff of this and other streams over on YouTube. And again, support us with the Patreon. Also, you can support me by subscribing to the channel. That's really important. Gives you those sub badges and emotes to use everywhere across Twitch. Thank you to those of you who resubbed during this time, including JRab. Thank you so much. And on the publishing side, Icarus for my Icarus graphic novel from Athos Arts, Library for my Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library. That's my 5e adventure and source book from Alligator Alley Entertainment. And those two together, Athos Arts and Alligator Alley, will combine their Wonder Twin powers to make the Gray Shade Kickstarter, which is going to be launching 2 weeks after May 31st. Gray Shade, the novel, launches on May 31st. 2 weeks later, the rest of the books launch. That is Renegade and Heretic are going to be part of that Kickstarter, as will the tabletop role-playing game Gray Shade, as will the audiobook from Trendane. And you can find out about all of that with Gray Shade KS. As always, BLM, Black Lives Matter, very important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives. Help Now, which is the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Very important to reach reach out to others when you need help and to reach out to others when they need help as well. And Ukraine, UKRAINE, to help with various things you can do, both in terms of financial donations and other such things, to help the people of Ukraine who are fighting incredibly bravely against a brutal and illegitimate war. We can all, as the West has been trying to do, we can try to help them in fighting back. I think there is some reason for optimism that they may actually be able to, knock on wood, at least push things back and possibly even I don't know if there can be such a thing as winning after the devastation the country's experienced, but at least can come to the point where they can feel that they have preserved their sovereignty and their freedom. But hopefully we all can help them and the many millions of refugees who have been displaced and have fled the country. That's something that all of us can be a part of as we go through. Ukraine for that. Otherwise, thank you to my wonderful viewers today. Thank you to my wonderful mods, Rudinel, JRab. Thanks again for the sub, JRab. Terry Tunes and Triffity Mats, best in the business. Thank you to my subscribers. Absolutely, Big Boss, totally. Subscribers and Patreon supporters, Rudinel, JReb, Terry Tunes, Triffity Mats, Echo Alpha X5, Amal Elmatar, Big Boss, Arendt, Garlic Tofu, Live Suing, and Trendane. Thank you, thank you. Thank you as well to my viewers. Thank you to About W, Axeman, Black Fury, Brad Bollier. Thank you to Effect Life. Thank you to Ensar. Thank you to Erica, Itzma. Thank you to Little Rory Sarasa. Thank you to Midsoon. Thank you to Nonstop, who is a sub. I don't know why it doesn't show up there. Thank you to Ol Rumsey, and thank you to Tinartif. Thanks, everyone. Much love all for everything. No raid today because we're going to be over at GOGCOM at 4:15 p.m. Eastern. I will see you over there in just about 35 minutes, and then I will see you back on this channel on Friday night, April 1st, hopefully for a little bit of Gran Turismo 7. That's going to do it for now. More Adventures of Middle-earth next month. Special thanks today to my players, Amal, Tren, Brad, and Terry. Great work from all of them. Much love to all of you, and I will see you folks in a little bit. Until then, everyone, please be good to each other. Bye for now.